play PUBG Mobile for free.
Hello everyone and welcome back to day number 6, the final day of the group stages for the PUBG Mobile Club Open for the North American region. My name's Esquire, joined here by Trid, and it all comes down to this as far as the group stages go.
But fortunately the journey has ended for a couple of people in Team Aero Groups A and D, because their final play date was yesterday. It means that if they're in that bottom 8, they've got no hope of climbing out, and we'll get that information to you very shortly. But there's some teams that definitely won't be joining us next week. But that's the name of the game for the group people in Groups B and Group C, because they have a last chance to get enough points, get themselves into the top 24, and keep their club open dreams alive.
Yeah, and it kind of brings into question, which side of that would you rather be on? Would you rather know what
the
you
top
need to...
24?
No, well, yes, but would you rather be playing today knowing how many points you need to get, or would you rather have already played and just kind of sit back and chill and let things go? Certainly the pressure could be applied either way for these teams.
For me personally, I'd love to still be in control of my own destiny. So I would like to be playing today to seal the deal, knowing where the benchmark is, and knowing what goal I have to chase, because otherwise you're just running a never-ending marathon.
Yeah, it's a bit of an enigma. A lot of questions surrounding those points if you aren't playing today. But we've got Groups B and C. Let's take a look at the leaderboards, though, how they've sort of transpired, and you can see a few teams in the danger zone. 2 teams won't be playing today. Home Alone and ImYourEnemy, they are out. Get them out of here, Silent Killers. I think need to have a big day. Yeah.
Same with Team Totality. They're in Group A as well. They're still in that bottom 8, so it doesn't look like they'll be joining us. But there's a lot of groups in B, a lot of teams in Groups B and C in this bottom 8 who can dethrone a couple of people above them, get into this top 24. Now, this is the beginning of the safety zone for a lot of these teams, but you're not safe yet. Esports NA, Shoguns in here as well, Team Error, all these, and NorthAmerica F6 to a degree as well. These are all teams that may run into an instance where they just cannot qualify anymore because teams in Groups B and C have just leapfrogged them today.
Exactly, the nature of the leaderboards, as some teams rise while others have to fall. And now we break into the top 16. Method, Revenants, Shoot to Win, G6, Ignite, Polar Ace Esports, Lights Out, Latinos Undios. Again, some teams that we saw play yesterday, if they have 12 matches played, they are done. That's the maximum amount of points that they will be able to rack up. Teams with 8 games played, well, you'll be seeing them on the battlegrounds here today.
And 316, that is the score to beat if you want that top spot at the end of the day. And teams like Spacestation, Tempo, Nova, these are the ones who are going to be looking to have big days today. I think if any team can do it, it's going to be Nova. They're already sitting at 204 points, so they need to get themselves an additional 112, and they will obviously dethrone Misfits from the top spot and claim that accolade moving into the semifinals.
Exactly. Now let's pop over to our schedule, the weekend, how it's played out. 2 days, days 1 and 2 of week 2 are in the books, and you can see who took away the wins for those particular maps. Biggest takeaway, though, was from yesterday. Wildcard Gaming came in, and they were able to swoop up 3 W's, tying Misfits' day record.
But they were to be beaten. Of course, they went in and got a map win of their own on Vikendi. And you're going to see more of the same today. We're going to kick things off on Sanhok, move on to Vikendi, and as always, finish it up with the double serving of Erangel.
So if you're a Miramar team, well, week 2 is not going to be necessarily friendly to you. You have to be able to master every single map. And while we've seen some teams at least showcase that they are here to do so and that they've already done so, specifically, again, let's beat that dead horse, Misfits, Misfits, Misfits. It's essentially been the name of the group stages.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at 2 names you should be familiar with, though. These 2 teams fighting on their last life today. If we have a look at our head-to-head for the day, unfortunately, not going to bring that for you, but it is 2 teams that are going to be struggling to get themselves into that top 24. For HOKAGE, one of those 2 teams obviously in a dangerous position, as well as Silent Killers, who are still sitting in that bottom 8 but have a chance at redemption today.
Yeah, so again, the first week we really focused on those point rushes, the teams that were putting up the massive points on the leaderboard. But as we come into the last day of the group stages, well, we're going to be keeping our eyes on some teams where a little bit more pressure than normal. It's not just going to be a regular competitive PUBG game for them. They are going to have to maybe shift off of their previous strategies to try to rack up those points, maybe play a little bit more aggressively.
And if you're watching the stream the past couple of days, you realize that Sanhok, as always, has just become an absolute clown fiesta at times when it comes to getting these kills up, because a lot of the teams, obviously, it's a 4x4 map, smaller than all the others. Action is heavily promoted, and that goes against the grain of what the point system actually rewards in this particular tournament. 30 points for a first place finish and only 1 point per kill. You can try and do the math yourself, but those who are racking up the first place finishes are certainly higher up on the leaderboards.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, especially on Sanhok, the smallest map of this PUBG Mobile lineup. You have to be able to pick your battles very carefully. Being the nature of this map being so crammed tight to your opponents, well, you put out some shots. There's going to be another team moving up on one of your flank positions, trying to capitalize on the fact that you might be in a chaotic situation of your own.
Well, we're in the plane. We're jumping over the skies of Sanhok to bring you map number 1 of the day. It's Group B versus C in the Last Chance Saloon.
Not a bad plane path that we will be starting off day number 3 with, as the Knights and the rest of the lobby go soaring from the western side of Sanhok down to the southeast. Not too angled of a plane, though. It's going to be favored towards the southern region, but all things considered, 4x4 map, you're likely going to be able to spread out to your heart's content. No area of the map will be secluded.
And if we're looking at our nice new map overlay, actually, very nice that we got that included in on this day of the broadcast. Teams are going to be spreading out across the way, and we saw a lot of third parties, especially when it came to Vikendi yesterday. Sanhok was more of the same, so we expect more of that to be happening today, just purely because of the size and the concentration of teams in the area. As we're all dropping down tempo, we've got a 3-1 split going on the west coast of the map, and they've sent Nico up to Camp Alpha, but the rest of the lads, they're going to be down further to the south by themselves for now, spreading out quite far on that southwestern island.
And Phase 1 will be popping, and it's going to present a similar situation to what we saw earlier in the weekend, where all 3 of the major islands that make up Sanhok will be implicated, as well as those bridges. So it comes down to, where is your team going to go? Are you going to go off to the northwest, stay on the largest landmass of Sanhok to the east, or go down south? Well, a team that is going to have to put a pin in that for now and try to figure out how to disengage from this compound is none other than one of our leaders in this lobby, Nova. Edwin already pulling off of that dangerously nearby to some of the members of Version 2 Black.
Very smart there by Edwin to realize that not the best of plays to be having right now, so he will go and regroup with the rest of his team. You can see Sam on the screen there as well. He's going to loop around this ravine, if we will, just to get himself back with his team. They're currently 4th place, looking to get higher. I don't think they're too worried about not qualifying for our semi-finals at this point. It's all a matter of in what situation do they qualify.
Yeah, I mean, some of the teams at the top, they can really take it easy these games. They don't have to do anything insane, but they also can't go out with terrible performances. As we continue to look around the map, though, a few teams have found themselves, or at least solo players from their squads, in a little bit of a precarious position. Rush from NVUS going to be pulling off of this. Lights Out off there to the distance, to the southwest of where he is currently holding on to. And, well, you have to worry about this team a little bit. Lights Out is trying to do big things here in this tournament, and they're continuing to try to rake up the points. They're trying to lay claim and say, you know, there might be some strong teams in this lobby, but we are here to compete and hang with the best of them.
Lights Out are relatively safe for now. They're sitting at 15th to kick off the day. I'm more concerned about NVUS, who we just saw on our screen. 28th at the moment. They're in that danger zone, so all about the climb for them today in particular. Taking a quick look at Spacestation Gaming. They're in 7th place to kick things off today, and that squad's been doing quite well so far in the tournament. Expected greater things from them in their first outing, but they certainly came back and reclaimed some points and got themselves up the leaderboards in the following week's action. You can see Creature off there in the distance as the rest of Nova are actually converging back to this hotspot and may have to engage against Version 2 Black.
Yeah, this is in the Quarry area, the southeastern corner, or rather, I guess the southeastern border of phase number 1. So they will be holding on to this position, and Nova is in a spot where they can possibly gatekeep the members of Version 2 Black unless they go on a crafty flank of their own. Up to the north is where Zlav and the rest of the crew will be heading, just trying to maneuver this area, which, granted, when it's on the edge, it's not too bad of a position to hold, but it can become increasingly difficult if the center circles up on this far southeastern edge.
If you're in the position where you're on the eastern border of that phase 1 circle, the majority of the teams you have to traverse are coming in from the east as well. That's going to be where probably most of the conflict takes place, around the edges. There's teams trying to breach in and find some semblance of safety, and you can see BlindedByWin, Revenants getting awfully close to each other up in that northeast section of the first phase. They might be able to get a few shots off here and take that early engagement. Revenant's not a team that usually shies away from kills themselves, where over half of their points actually come from those kills. Or, no, not really that. Maybe a third of their points actually come from the kills themselves, rather than their placement.
Paradise Resort, one of the deadlier places on Sanhok, at least what we've seen coming out of these group stages. Well, it was a graveyard yesterday. We'll have to keep our eye on that area, see if those two teams end up clashing, Revenants and BlindedByWin. As we pop over to another powerhouse team here in today's games, Tempo Storm trying to do just that and storm over the jungle and on top of their enemies. But back here, Paradise Resort, Revenants are pushing closer into the two buildings where BlindedByWin is holding. A few shots coming out, just a little bit of poke, sending Revenants on their back foot, just letting them know if you push any further, BlindedByWin, well, we're here to frag out.
Espinosa is just holding the angle. Same thing could be said for Woods, just using that third person's perspective to see if anyone's going to try and flank around them or potentially aggress onto the position that they're holding down. Certainly can hear the footsteps of people moving, just doesn't have the definite location or the visual aid to lock down that position. As Espinosa, you can see he's holding down that angle, so any aggression or aggressive positioning coming out from BlindedByWin will be spotted out and punished as Vigilante. Just going to move across the way, and Espinosa now aggressing onto Woods.
I mean, here's the thing. Revenants are absolutely swarming this territory in terms of the position that they're taking up. They've got the high ground. They're up on the top of these barriers, but they are actually going to get the first knock. It's traded back. Vigilante going to be going down as well, and we're going to likely see these two teams stall out. Poke shots going back and forth as both teams try to get over to their fallen teammates to provide that much-needed assistance. But here comes Espinosa spraying down on top of one of the members of BlindedByWin. We'll be able to find another knock. That's 2 down for BlindedByWin in this engagement, and Revenants, they're not going to be pulling off of this.
BlindedByWin currently the 24th spot. If they go out here, it's going to be absolutely disastrous for them because teams are going to start to play catch-up as Hector is knocked away from Parker and Arx, who are trying to recover themselves, but Parker's just going to be left for dead here. Arx is running off. They're not going to salvage this one. They know Revenants are gunning for blood, so Parker going to be spotted out. The flush is going to come in. Arx is in prone right now, hoping they'll disappoint and just move away, but there's the cleanup coming in nicely. Revenants get a clean squad wipe on BlindedByWin.
Out in 16th position, exactly what you said, Trid. Not the spot that BlindedByWin wanted to see themselves exiting in game number 1. And it almost makes you question, what was the thought process dropping on to Paradise Resort when you see another squad there? Big enough map to where you don't need to contest these positions, especially if you're in that placement on the leaderboards. Over here, though, two other teams sort of lining up on one another. It's going to be Pittsburgh Knights as well as HQA. A river separates them, but make no mistake, that's not a lot of area. The shots can certainly ring true and be very lethal.
Keeping their eyes across the river for now. There's the next phase being popped, so it's still implicating all 3 of those islands, and it's just centralizing a little bit further to the south, but most of the landmass still in play. And those teams in the east are going to have to keep migrating over to the west, coming in around about where Cream is positioned now, or potentially wrapping around that boot camp area just to get into the circle.
And the problem inherent in these great migrations from one direction here at the east is, well, the plays don't get smaller, which means these teams are going to be converging on the edges of the next zone closer and closer to one another. As HQA, well, they don't have to move. They're here near Pi Non. They're going to be holding onto this river still across from the Pittsburgh Knights, but certainly both teams are aware of the other's presence. All of HQA essentially going to be in the prone position, not wanting to risk giving up any easy headshots to the Pittsburgh Knights across. But certainly, Michael, just being checked out, queuing, making sure everything is okay with his teammate.
Yeah, unfortunately, friendly fire's not on for him to be able to take a few of those shots. Lights Out chasing the tail of 4 HOKAGE right now, moving further to the west. Just to the north of them, NVUS and Revenants lining up for a potential fight here as they're leaving that Paradise Resort area. It's just because NVUS are going past where Revenants came from. Peralta and Reckless are pretty much all but touching at this point. It's going to start trading gunfire. Tanker and Vigilante going to suppress Rush, actually get the knock down the hill. Knockhead is there to try and help him, but he's just being put behind cover. And there's Reckless getting the knock onto Peralta. No one from Revenants is around to try and get him up, so he will get the flush onto that. He will control down himself as well, though. So Tanker applying that pressure. Knockhead still up to try and do something, but there's the flush coming in onto Reckless and to Rush because Knockhead has been removed. So NVUS going out nice and early in 15th place.
Yeah, another devastating finish for a team that needs greatness here
They're
on the
28.
final day. Exactly. They've got to do big things here, and maybe that's the kick that they sort of need. They've got 3 more games to do it. If there's anything that this PUBG Mobile tournament has taught us, it's, well, teams can have huge games. And speaking of that, Lights Out, Memo going to be rolling up on top of Revenants. He heard the shots just a minute ago and really wants to capitalize on this, but will he have the support from his teammates to the south? Certainly Outsider 9K and Seagut trying to posture themselves on top of the hill to get a different angle of approach.
And they've already got 1 knock. Vigilante going down on his knees right now as Outsider 9K was so close to following him, but he's going to med back up. And I think actually Lights Out are going to disengage from this one. They're just falling back Suppressive smoke coming down from Espinoza to get Vigilante back in the game as Memo still thinks he can get some shots off here onto Tanker. I think he's going to fall back with the rest of his team, just checking his six occasionally to make sure they're not being sprayed from behind.
A smart play to make for Lights Out. Again, not necessarily in danger of finding themselves in those bottom 8 positions, but also still with something to prove here in this tournament. I think all of the members of Lights Out, they say, hey, we're way better than what a performance so far in these 2 weeks have shown. We are going to try to display that in the future coming weeks. Silent Killers, though, another team that we highlighted coming into this game that needs to have a huge performance at the bottom of the leaderboards for these 2 groups. Well, Chris and the rest of the crew, they're posturing at least all 4 up. They're going to be safe for the time being, but how much longer can that stay so?
Actually around by a crate as well, so they're going to get a loot injection by just holding this edge position right now. So we can see Lights Out moving closer to 4 HOKAGE and just going past the north of them. The footsteps might be heard, they might even have a visual on them, but they're getting into the shrubbery in between the trees and the rocks and cutting down those lines of sight on which 4 HOKAGE could go for the initiation on them. But that position still could be lit up because Revenants will have to pass through. They're tanking blue right now just to make sure that they don't run into a Lights Out ambush that could have been set up on their retreat.
Lights Out on the main part of Sanhok, that eastern island that creates this map. Well, they're starting to move over towards the west, but if they continue on that path, they're going to have a hard cross, so the circle shift over to the far northwest. But they are posturing now on the hill just above where 4 HOKAGE is hiding inside of the compound, and they might get caught out if they continue to head in that direction. But it's going to be none other than version 2 Black rolling down the hill on to HQA. We were just looking at HQA lining up across the river from Pittsburgh Knights. Now they're finding themselves pinched between two good teams here in this lobby.
Version 2 Black are playing with a handicap right now. They've already lost Chica from their lineup, so they're playing with 3 members against the 4-man squad. That's going to change up how aggressive they're willing to be and when they take these fights. So might play this one slow. You can see they're trying to edge around away from the hot spot, but Kiwang might not let them as the next circle will pop. Northwestern circle coming in, so those teams playing that edge going to have to start moving upwards. A lot of land to work with for Cream Esports NA and Shoot to Win. They've got that northwest island all to themselves right now, but you can see teams crossing the river and going to start making landfall.
And Shoot to Win is currently holding on to the high ground. It's a large mountain that makes up that far northwestern island of Sanhok, and they're going to be able to pick up a ton of information, but I am worried about Lights Out. The circle is already starting to favor towards that northwest, and while they've got to cross one of the larger areas of the river to have to at least cross over to get to safety, and they've got a few teams on their back. Revenants will be looking down at them from that far northeastern spot, but version 2 White, they're moving through, 4 players alive, and well, Team Anarchy sits right in front of them to the north.
Yeah, they're hot on the heels of them. Sickless opening up onto Sprat, so version 2 Black, they may have dodged out a team that they wanted to avoid, but Spacestation Gaming not going to allow them to. They've opened up onto them, getting the knock. This version 2 White still pressing forward. Sickless to get that flush onto Sprat, removing one of those members now, so instantly putting version 2 Black with 2 members remaining. I believe it's just Collins, potentially one of his comrades there to stay alive right now.
Anarchy's in a tough position. They are swimming the more vulnerable state that you could be in PUBG Mobile, and will they have been spotted? The snakes are in the water, and they're trying to get to the other side of this island, but it's going to be increasingly difficult to do so. The more 5.56 bullets spray down on top of them from the M416 of Waz, and the rest of version 2 White still posturing right there. You can see all of Anarchy is in the water. 9 just trying to make landfall, trying to turn around back to the south to hopefully provide some cover fire for his teammates.
Further up the river, Nova doing the exact same thing right now, except they haven't been spotted out, so they're going to do it in relative safety, while Anarchy takes a lot of the flak on this one. So everyone's migrating over to that northwest area. You can still see teams coming in from the southeast around by boot camp, and 4 HOKAGE going in. The Team Anarchy have made that landfall first, so now when version 2 White tries to make this rotation over the bridge into the circle, Team Anarchy might be able to met up and turn around on them and deny them this clear pathway.
And the key to that is Team Anarchy being able to met up first. You can see 2 of their members are desperately low on HP. They've got to get the first aids, maybe even the med kits, as well as boost rolling before this oncoming push from version 2 White makes its landfall onto the northwestern side of the island. But grenades will start to be thrown. Team Anarchy knows exactly what's coming their way, but so does version 2 White. They're going to be returning those nades and trying to find the connections.
Killer just going to be the person frontlining here, getting the information, tending it over to their team. Revenant's taking a fight with Lights Out now. Tank over to spray onto Lucifer, will get knocked. Lucifer needs to be very careful about getting himself reds. Vigilante is in the water still, but he'll be making landfall shortly. So he's going to need to back up, but Lucifer finished off by Cream Kira. Maluma being knocked down off to the side by Pirate, having his debut game for Cream Esports, I believe. There's Killer. Gonna get the knock onto Was, still holding close as Mega trying to peek around the side. Smoke grenade on top of Killer will allow him to be covered for now, but 2 members of version 2 White already down. It's just Bad Player and Mega to try and save this one. The Circle's going to move in and cut down their angles of approach even further as Mega just popped off from the side. Down behind the vehicle is all on Bad Player to stay alive here. Just if Mega goes over too far, he'll get shot in the back. Trying to go for the retreat for the res, it's just not going to be there. Bad Player, solo, he's in the zone, but look at this aggression coming in. He's going over the top of him. He can't take cover behind that box. He knows someone's up there. James looking to rain down fire, but there's 2 going up there. Micro TT as well. There's the spray down. Bad Player taken out. And there's nothing he can do about that one. That's going to be a squad wipe coming in for Team Anarchy.
The aggressor becomes the aggressed upon as we see our next phase pop and take us up to the northeast. Lights out, going to be smack dab in the center of this next circle. And this is a team that I was worried about trying to make that cross from east to west over the river. Well, they certainly did have Revenants on their backside, but they were able to play it aggressively, taking down 3 of the members of that Revenant squad in the process. But other teams are certainly going to have their eye on that centralized compound. HQA making that rotation. They're not going to be safe here, and we saw a lot of teams posturing nearby to where they were. Pittsburgh Knights across the river might have a good line of sight when HQA goes into that vulnerable state trying to swim across.
But 2 of our fan favorite squads right now, Nova and Tempo, just had a skirmish in which Nova decimated and has removed them. Yifei now being knocked down to his knees by Sixless across the way. For HOKAGE returning fire onto HQA. Now Nova, after winning that engagement against Tempo, getting awfully close to Shoot to Win. They wanted to take away this high ground that Shoot to Win has occupied for a very long time as the circle shifts over a little bit further to the east and removes some of the value or the height or the peak of that high ground that was previously attained.
Shoot to Win now going to be pulling off of this, but Nova is in tow. They are being very aggressive here, trying to chase after. Beowulf going to be spotting out some of the members of Shoot to Win. Ulysses going to be taking a lot of fire as his teammate drops down, takes a lot of fall damage in the process, but this is essentially the only retreat they have. They've got to jump off these rocks or face being absolutely ripped through by one of the top teams here in this lobby.
But now they've given away peak real estate over to Nova, who now control this high ground that will still be in that next circle. They're going to be able to rain down. There's a 2-2 split for Shoot to Win. They're in the rough area still as Rafa and Lopez are in those buildings in the compound. You can see the 2 remaining members trying to med up before they make I'm guessing a mad dash for the buildings to get to safety. But Nova still keeping an eye out in between these rocks. Know they're lingering around. Going to try and find them as Beowulf leading the charge, going on this hunt. If he drops down too low, though, he may have return fire coming in from the remaining members of Shoot to Win.
Nova is very much aware of the fact that they are in a bad position. They've got to take out the likes of Shoot to Win, and they have to eliminate this threat in front of them or risk being shifted upon and then having a dominant force of Shoot to Win right in front of them. Already executing on this very efficiently. They put out a lot of damage, but another team has entered the fray from the south. It's going to be none other than Team Anarchy. Already picked up 4 kills on the version 2 White. Well, they're looking for more blood, and they're going to be sensing it over to the north as Sam finds some nice connections.
He's going to be suppressing them. They're fighting against the blue zone as well to get in here. Killer taking a lot of punishment right now. The blue might actually finish him off there. A couple more bullets from Sam. Also going to knock onto 9. Ulysses being flushed out by Beowulf, who went hunting for them. Killer going to get down to the blue zone as well. Anarchy is in absolute disarray here as actually Pittsburgh Knights going to steal away a couple of those kills away from them off to the side, but they've been down by Helmet, who's taking that engagement from the side and drawing the ire and distraction of that team, Pittsburgh Knights. Helmet
has shown us with an SSG squad he is a force to be reckoned with, but now Nova up here on the hillside. Long distance shot, but if there's anyone that can land it, it's certainly going to be Beowulf from this Nova squad, soaking up that information, pulling out the pressure on any team trying to get a favorable position inside of this zone. But again, Nova, next phase is up. They actually got favored in terms of this shift down to the southwest. They don't have to retreat off of this very high cliffside just yet. They could stay up there and try to rack up the damage and hopefully get some kills in the process.
And so many teams are going to have to run into this circle. Tsukasa keeping an eye on Carnage for now, but won't pull the trigger on this one. He's playing with a weakened squad. I believe it's just him and Money Alive, and now he's opening up onto Carnage. Gonna get the knock. And Sixless heading up the hill, also opening into the firing lines. But Edwin putting up there. Sixless getting dropped by Tsukasa. As Koto will deal with Wi-Fi. Edwin opening up onto Monarch. Will get that drop down. Sam, the one to claim it is outside of 9K, returns onto Carnage as well. There's multiple man engagements happening. As Sam and Beowulf on this high ground, able to deal with the aggressors quite handedly. And Nova remain the dominant force so far.
And with so many teams getting ripped up from this Nova position, I'm going to be looking at all other 5 teams currently alive here in this lobby and how they play off of it. They can't give anything up to Nova, and Nova's in a position to essentially take it all in phase number 5. As more action starts to pop, our next phase is going to be shifting over here in just a few seconds. And where will it go? Well, certainly up to the north a shy bit, favoring the shoot-to-win compound that you saw them hop off the mountain and take up when Nova was pushing on their backside. So now Nova, they've got to be quick on their feet. They've got to try to decide how to play this as Lights Out is under fire on the east.
Spacestation Gaming have been removed. Cream Esports were the only other team that could have contended against Nova as a full-man squad, but they're starting to take casualties to the blue zone as they had to push into the area. And we're taking a lot of fire from Lights Out, I believe. Shoot-to-Win have the favorable position in this circle because they have building control in the center. Seagut have a couple of shots long distance from Sam. Will apply pressure, but won't get the knock. First aid kit's coming out for Lights Out. He's got a couple more meds to survive if he needs it.
We are already seeing one of the players of Nova. He has shifted down to the south. He's gotten off of the mountain, and now Edwin and Beowulf and Sam are trying to do the exact same thing. They're facing off against Nova. Lopez and Rafa are going to be putting out a lot of damage onto both Edwin and Beowulf, and now Lights Out. They're coming into Swarm. They sense that there are some kills for them to pick up, and they're going to be going up to the north as Cream tries to do whatever they can to whittle down their opponents inside of the compound and free up that rotation to safety.
That Nova shoot-to-win firefight was absolutely disastrous for Nova. Sam's the only remaining member. Actually, no, Kodo's off to the side in the south, but he has been down. Sam needs to stay up here and keep Nova's dreams alive. You got Cream pushing in as well as Lights Out after they heard the gunfire. No one's at full strength anymore. This could go to literally anyone in this circle.
And this is what I talked about. Now Nova is in a very dire position if they have their eyes set on that chicken dinner here in game number 1 of the final day of the group stages. But it's not over yet. Sam can still do something. He's picked up 3 kills to his name. He's going to be able to have vision on Lights Out down below and likely onto Kira for Cream as well. But again, it comes down to what can he do, or what can these other teams do against Shoot-to-Win? If someone takes the attention away from this hillside, it might allow Nova the opportunity to get down.
Nemo's going to go down to the play zone, so it's just Lights Out Seagut to carry the flag for them. Nova, solo operator, Pirate as well. Shoot-to-Win have ended up as the dominant force so far, and they've still got central circle position. All these other teams are going to have to aggress into, but most importantly, Sam's going to have to leave the comfort of that high ground in the next phase to try and contend against some fortified squads in the form of Shoot-to-Win in the middle of the circle. Nova had complete control, and they've absolutely lost it on that push against Shoot-to-Win.
Yeah, Sam essentially needs just to start underhanding a few smoke grenades if he's got them in his kit. Else he's going to just be falling down, landing in that jump animation, and will be wiped out of the game immediately thereafter. But he's trying to bide his time. He's trying to see if he can catch out any of the other remaining members around the map and maybe secure another kill point before going down and out himself. But the blue zone shrinks in. Sam has to do something. He's going to be in the blue zone, resorting to a med tactic, trying to outlast the 4th team here in this lobby. They don't want to go out 4th. They want at least 3rd position, but will Sam be able to do it because no fights are being forced by virtue of this circle? He's
got first aid kits, he's got bandages as well, but I don't think he's going to outlast another team. He's hoping that someone exposes themselves and Shoot-to-Win and get the kill, so he's just going to med up and try and stay alive here. It's not going to work. He's going to try and take the action into his own hand, but he's just going to die to this fall now. Nova going to be going out in 4th place. So that means we've got a position here with Shoot-to-Win opening up. Pirate's not been spotted out. He's awfully close now. Psycho goes around the corner. There's the spray down. Cream being taken out, so it's Lights Out, the last remaining team. And he actually has circle control against Shoot-to-Win. They're going to have to aggress onto them, but it's 3 members. A 3v1 is not looking good for Seagut.
No, especially with the angles being approached by Shoot-to-Win. They were holding on to at least 2 separate angles, but now Psycho will be pushing back out into that. I like to see this play from Shoot-to-Win. They don't want to go down to a solo player. They have 3 alive. They know that there is only 1 team standing in between them and a chicken dinner here to start off day number 6 of the PUBG Mobile Club Open. Seagut, though, continues to look ahead. He knows exactly where his threats lie. It all comes down to the quick reaction time. Can he get the first knock and immediately transition to another teammate of this squad?
If he gets a good nade out, could turn it around for him. Shoot-to-Win starting to split up, keeping an eye out on where they think he might be. Now, they have a rough idea. That grenade went out a little bit too early. Didn't find anyone from Shoot-to-Win, but it did expose an approximate position, I believe. Shoot-to-Win looking to find him. Sits up, going to start taking the shot onto Rafa. Finds the first mark. The return fire comes in. Seagut can't find the second. And that's going to be Shoot-to-Win taking away our first map. Right out of the noses of Lights Out and Nova Esports.
8 kills to boot. Lights Out, though, having a solid game save from Seagut right there. What an effort, though, coming out from Seagut. He did exactly what I said that he had to do. He had to get a quick knock and then immediately shift over to another player. But again, Trid, that's a dangerous, dangerous thing. It's incredibly difficult to do so, but applause for the effort, the attempt nonetheless. But a huge game coming in to start the day. The tone has been set. It's going to be a very action-packed day. I think we had less than half the lobby remaining, shy of 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's such a shame for Nova. They were in a good position, like we said. It just didn't work out for them when they went for that push on shoot to win. Sega may have pulled it off if it was a 2v1. Maybe if Cream found a knock or a flush as well as Nova potentially doing it in their push. Could have opened it up for Lights Out to steal it away. Just wasn't meant to be. That was map number 1 of the day. We got 3 more to come. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Vikendi coming on your screens.
Welcome back, everyone, to the PUBG Mobile Club Open. Game number 1 of the final day of the group stages has been played out, and Shoot to Win came in with a commanding finish, walking away with a chicken dinner. But Trid, it was an exciting game. There were a lot of standoffs there that could have gone either way.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it goes back to Nova's lack of, let's say, aggression or lack of execution when it came to taking away the compound directly in the area in that final circle. They had high ground control overlooking the previous, I'm going to say, 3 circles. But when it came down to the make a move, they didn't nail it. This is that high ground position they actually had over. You can see them put it to great effect against Pittsburgh Knights. But when they needed to get down off those rocks, take away the area away from Shoot to Win, our ultimately first place team from that round, they were unable to get the execution. They lost too many members, and they had Edward up on the high ground, unable to do anything about it. He tried to go for the med to get a higher position, but he still ended up going out in 4th.
And then this final epic battle, Seagate, the solo player for Lights Out, tried to do what he could. He was able to get 1 knock on a Shoot to Win, tried to spray down the other member, and unfortunately it was just too much. 3 versus 1, that's a high mountain to climb.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at our standings and see how the results of that game has shaped things up. Already we can see that BlindedByWin, they were in the safety zone. They've now been knocked out into 25th place. So as it stands right now, with 3 games to play, they need to climb back up into the top 24. It's an easily surmountable task, but it's not where you want to be after game 1.
Yeah, keep in mind, after the games were played yesterday, we have secured at least 3 teams that will be dropping out from those lobbies. So looking for 5 teams here today that will be finding the exact same fate. But as we continue to climb up the leaderboards, at least positions maybe 21 through 24 aren't so safe either. They need to be careful. Not many points are separating them from that danger zone, those bottom 8.
And Pittsburgh Knights, they've climbed up into the top 24 for that first game performance, so they're actually on the up and up, which is exactly what they need to maintain going into the next couple of games. Let's have a look at the top half of our leaderboards and see where things stand up here. Tempo Storm, they've had a bit of a knock. I believe they were in 7th or 9th before this match, and now they've gone down. They actually went down quite early to an engagement with, I believe it was Nova Esports, who were able to take them out quite handily. I think about phase 4 is when they got knocked, so not the best of finishes for them, but they're looking to continue onwards.
Yeah, Lights Out had a pretty solid game as well. Again, just trying to fight to stay safe, or at least not so sweaty. We dubbed this the Sweaty Sunday yesterday. Some teams are really feeling that. You can tell the sweat is trickling down their backs, but up here to the top of the leaderboards, the top 8 teams so far here in the group stages, well, they are looking good. Nova, though, they're climbing. They're about 80 points shy of passing Misfits and retaking number 1. It's sort of been a back and forth between these 2 teams.
And they're on track to do it. They just need around about 80 odd points. But we're having a look at our head-to-head. Tempo Storm, they came off a little bit worse in that first engagement with Nova Esports NA, and they need to do a little bit of climbing today. And they have some good fraggers on here. Spec in particular has shown up in previous weeks. He should be able to pop off against the top fraggers in Nova. I'm expecting if these 2 teams were to clash again, we may see a different outcome.
Yeah, exactly right. But Trid, I mean, there are several other teams that we're looking to see some big performances out of, specifically BlindedByWin. We saw them go out extremely early. I believe 16th position when they landed in Paradise Resort next to Revenants. Well, we've seen Paradise Resort. It has been a graveyard so far in this tournament. And so you want to see something different. You want to see a shift from BlindedByWin off of that drop location, or off of the drop locations that are going to be hot. If you're BlindedByWin, you see parachutes coming towards you, get out of there. You need those placement points. Kills will not be enough to get you there.
I believe you're absolutely right when you say it's been a graveyard. Paradise Resort yesterday, I believe it was Misfits who took an extremely early fight against Team Error, knocked them out of the competition in 16th place to kick things off. So it wasn't a great start for them, and I agree with you. If you start seeing teams going over, they may want to go to plan B rather than your optimal strategy. Yes, Sanhok was a 4x4 map, and yes, there are slightly more limited places comparatively to the other zones. When we go on to Vikendi, we're going to be moving on to our second map of the day. That's a 6x6 map, a little bit higher. But we'll remind you of the maps for today as we take a look at our daily schedule. We've already had Sanhok with Shoot to Win, walked away with the victory. We're now jumping on to Vikendi. And of course, as always, we have that double serving of Erangel to close out the night.
Every time you say double serving of Erangel, I'm just thinking of a big old plate with some chicken dinner on top. And that's certainly what some of these teams are going to be eyeing for, trying to walk away with some solid placements here to round out the final 3 matches of the day. But I mean, Trid, it's not going to be easy, right? Shoot to Win, at least as it stands right now, they could potentially beat out the Misfits record. They could potentially beat out the 3-game win per day record. Who knows if it'll happen? It's certainly open for them to do so. but will they be able to stand up to the task?
You can't see on the camera right now, but I'm souring my face a little bit. I don't think
I wasn't going to say it.
I don't think there's something that can actually be achieved. It's quite a feat. Yes, we've seen two teams do it, Wildcard and Misfits. I don't see a team that hasn't consistently hit the top spots like Shoot to Win being able to pull off a similar feat.
Shoot to Win, you heard it though. Prove Trid wrong. Leave it all on the battlegrounds and see what you guys can come up with in the final 3 matches of the day. Again, switching over now to Vikendi. It's going to be a bit of a different strategy for some of these teams.
Vikendi is this weird and strange and wonderful map we keep having in PUBG Mobile, where the circles are basically phase 2, 3, 4, don't really change much.
No.
So we end up in phase 5, 6, 7 and onwards with a lot of teams still alive. Unfortunately, Vikendi is quite a cold map and we're going to have to put things on ice a little bit longer. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to try and bring you map number 2, Vikendi.
Play PUBG Mobile for free.
Welcome back, everyone. We got those technical issues sorted out, and our players are loaded into the map for game number 2 on Vikendi. Again, Trid, it's going to be a shift in strategy for these teams coming out of Sanhok, a 6x6 kilometer map, a little bit more room to work with, but again, like you mentioned, those circles are going to be interesting, and I want to see teams bombing center early on, because those are the teams that are likely not going to have to move for the entire first half of the game.
Yeah, take a page out of the Misfits book. Just head straight for the center, lock it down, and then pivot around that central point to retain control of the circles as they progress through the game. Like we said, the circles don't shift the border of play that much. They just seem to just shrink around and never really throw any spanners in the work till the very end, by which point you would have whittled down so many teams anyway. You don't have to worry about going through an absolute hail of bullets to make it happen. So, Vikendi, grab center, hold control of it. That's what Misfits have been doing. That's what other teams have been doing to come away with Vikendi victories. I expect none of the same. Well, I expect more of the same if you want to be getting that first place finish.
Yeah, especially from some of our teams down at the bottom. Again, Silent Killers for HOKAGE and a few others that we've got our eyes on for big things in these games. But let's take it away. Over Vikendi we go. And our players are going to be left to this drop path, their own devices. Where are they going to go? And are they going to be able to frag out and find themselves into the top placements here of game number 2?
Speaking of getting central circles, that's an incredibly central fight path for our teams. It's going from northeast down to southwest, but it gives the entire scope of Vikendi, so they can just have it a la carte this round, Esquire. So really, everything is up for grabs where these teams want to go. Still may end up with some instances of dropping in the same location just because of the lack of familiarity these teams may have with each other, but there's been enough footage available now for you to get a rough idea of where these teams are going to drop.
And looking at the map, the East has been claimed. All of Vikendi's eastern coast will belong to Lights Out because, well, no one else decided to go
west.
there. They sure did. In the circle, phase number 1 going to be taking us north. Some of our teams down to the south for HOKAGE, Revenants. Well, they've got a bit of a rotation ahead of them.
But if you are Pittsburgh Knights, you are loving life right now. You've got yourself Cosmodrome in the center of the circle. Not going to have to make that rotation. Further down south, Revenants actually have got another member with them. I'm going to double check who that is. It's BlindedByWin. Actually, a member there dropping with them as well. So this might not be the best of starts for them because I think they're going to be severely outgunned, especially in the early.
I'm starting to think that maybe the members of Revenants and BlindedByWin have opposite magnets in each other's pockets because they are drawn to one another regardless of what map they are going to be playing on. Keep in mind, game number 1, the team that took out that squad, BlindedByWin, well, none other than the Revenants. Cream going to be looting up here, very split up in their drop, and we saw some teams punished for doing this exact same drop earlier in the weekend, and well, your victors of game number 1, trying to ride high on that momentum coming off of that nice chicken dinner. It's none other than Shoot to Win.
Keeping momentum is going to be really important here for them. They are getting themselves into the safety zone, but they want to climb up the rankings, get better seeding when it comes around to the groups, because that's what's on the line for the teams who are safe. It's getting that advantageous seeding, because we're going to reseed them, obviously, when we go into our semifinals next week from the remaining members. Tempo Storm, one of our teams to watch this game. Already taking gunfire, lost, dropped to his knees by Shoot to Win. Ulysses with that AK spraying through. Losses on his last life. Spec going to have to make a quick change over here, get the resurrection up. Ulysses hasn't got the best of sightlines on them, but of course he's going to feed the information that Tempo are nearby, and they want to obviously take those kills and deal with them adequately.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Tempo engage off of this. You saw that Spec at the full level 3 kit. He is super geared up, and well, this city is essentially wide open should the other members of Tempo start to come over to their teammates and provide that support. But Chica far off on the flank, likely not going to see this engagement actually take place. But Spec, he's going to be spotted out. Psycho with the G36C will be trying to push over here towards the west, trying to chase down the storm that is receding.
And they've already lost. It's just gone straight away. Tempo Storm with the 3-man squad for the rest of Vikendi. Just unfortunate as Spec, I think, has made the call with the rest of his team to go, all right, let's mount up, grab what loot we can on the exit, but let's get out of here. Let's just concede this ground because this is all Shoot to Wins now.
Yeah, certainly. Again, Tempo not in a really dire position. They just don't need poor performances, anything just to get them into that seeding position that they have been eyeing. Maybe trying to stay away from a team, maybe trying to avoid being in the same group as some of our other devastating fraggers here in these lobbies. But Revenants, they at least were able to avoid that member of Blinded to Win. The entirety of that Blinded to Win squad has landed on the far western coast and leaving the compound, all for the Revenants to take up.
Revenants working with 3 members at the moment, so I believe they're going up against the 4-man squad of BlindedByWin. So we thought BlindedByWin might be at a disadvantage. It's the other way around. Circle not started to make its decrease yet. We've got a couple of minutes before it's going to start moving in, and still Lights Out. They've got absolute control over that eastern coast. They spread out as far as they need to. They haven't spotted anyone. They're quite happy to play as solo operators at this point. It's that congregation just in the northwest, though, is really where you're going to have troubles. If that circle shifts over to the east, that's where things are going to open up, and that's when the action's really going to start.
Team Anarchy finding a home here in Goroka, a large city, especially if you're looting it without any type of enemy teams contesting this play area. So they're going to be happy with what they're walking away with as they enter into the mid-game, holding onto this position on the southwestern side of the circle. But other teams not so fortunate. They're going to have to make some moves to at least secure a dominant part of this phase number 1. HQA likely spotting out Nico from Tempo Storm, certainly hearing the vehicles from Tempo Storm. Spec rolling in as well, and this information will be fed to his teammate Michael, just trying to pull the Dacia behind cover. Doesn't want to lose any access to that vehicle if they need to make the rotation later on.
Michael having his debut game day today. He hasn't played with this HQA roster prior, but he's going to be subbed in this time around to help them out. I believe it is Hoonsy who has stepped out in his place, so It's nice to see Michael getting some playtime in what could be the final week for a lot of these teams.
As they continue on with this rotation, just trying to get inside of the safe zone on that far western edge. Well, a lot of other teams are in this position as well. Team Anarchy moving out of that Garoka position a little bit up to the north. And, well, HQA might be sliding right back from whence they came, where Tempo Storm has already started to position themselves. And the vehicle will be heard. Might see some shots coming out from Spec and his teammate Nico here very shortly, or deciding just to passively play it out and not draw attention to where they're currently holding.
Just up on that western coast by Dobro is you've got Shoot to Win, Version 2 Black, and BlindedByWin, all on a similar path, getting that entrance into the Phase 1 circle, chasing the tail of Silent Killers. That could pose some problems for any of these teams that decide to set up an ambush or turn around, play Edge and Gatekeeper. Having a quick look at NVUS, who are probably the most northern point, and Silent Killers are on that path to come and join NVUS in that city if they're not too careful, but Tempo Chica already getting that knock onto Bad Player. And then Kwang opening up onto Chica as well, actually getting the flush off the back of it as well. So Tempo, one of our other teams to watch, or one of our teams to watch, now suffering their second casualty of the game, and no squad has been successfully eliminated yet.
It's unfortunate for Tempo Storm. You saw them lose Lost early on. And, well, we also saw a few teams traveling by a compound where two of the three remaining members of Tempo Storm were holding. And we started to ask ourselves, at least in our minds, where is that third member? Where is Chico? Well, wide in the open, separated from their squad and between two enemy teams. And out they go. Tempo Storm has to continue on with two players remaining, but again, this is one of the more powerful squads in the lobby. They likely have a strategy to play off this. It just all comes down to these rotations. Will they be able to safely make it? And if they do safely make it, will they be able to hold off any pushes? But speaking of pushes, it's going to be none other than the Silent Killers taking damage here as Version 2 White swarms up on top of them. They tried to fly through this compound, but were caught out almost immediately.
Just going to suffer that casualty to begin with, and Silent Killers, not the best starts for them. They were trying to just bomb through, like you said, get on a more advantageous path, find better or greener pastures, and it's not going to be. Nice pick up there for Version 2 White, gifted a kill, but they didn't blink, they didn't miss, and they executed perfectly on it.
Yeah, Shoot to Kill, or Silent Killers rather. Certainly learning the hard way. There are not a lot of green pastures on this Vikendi map. You might have some brown pastures and a lot of snow, but certainly nothing that they were hoping to find in that compound itself as Cream starts to make these rotations. You saw their sister team in the European region get knocked out of the tournament in the bottom 8 of that 32-team lobby. Can their North American representatives do any better here today? They're going to be at least able to secure a nice compound here. Very, very separated from every other team in the map. They're inside of this phase, but they opted not to go dead center.
Not just yet, and we've already spoken about the strength demonstrated by a team like Misfits, what you can do with center circle, especially when it starts to whittle down. They obviously have other plans, just holding off to the southeast right now. Lights Out still haven't made that deep rotation into the center of the circle, operating around in between Cosmodrome and Trevno, which is all theirs. Pittsburgh Knights would have looted that one up. They move further west, but they're still holding center near Cosmodrome. We're on board with Revenants, still with those 3 members, all mounted up in vehicles. They're the furthest out of that phase, but they're going to go through Garoka and get themselves in with no real problems just yet. Every other team's pretty far away from that particular entrance point. But we're having a little bit of a showdown here. Nova versus Pittsburgh Knights. And I believe that's a member of HQA off to the side of them as well. So they might be getting sandwiched here by Pittsburgh and HQA.
Yeah, certainly a familiar position, at least in terms of a river separating Pittsburgh Knights in another enemy squad. But also keep in mind, Nova is the team that wiped out the Pittsburgh Knights in game number 1. They found them off of that high hill position, and once again, they've got the high ground. But do they know that Pittsburgh Knights are currently down to the east of where they are holding on? And certainly also, do they know that a team is pushing up from the south? It's going to be none other than HOKAGE getting dangerously nearby.
For now, they won't press on the attack just yet. We're having a quick look at Lights Out. We've just been left to our own devices. Don't expect much action out of them for the next phase or so. We'll focus on what's happening in the center now. Spacestation Gaming and Silent Killers, or a weakened Silent Killers, having a stare down. High ground and control of Spacestation Gaming. Angry and Juicy up there with Helmet and Carnage. Just keeping eyes on Silent Killers for now. No one needs to do anything rash because they're fairly central, so their hands aren't going to be forced for quite a while now, Esquire.
Juicy playing the point position for his Spacestation Gaming squad, making sure that nothing gets past him as the Silent Killers continue to hold on to this compound. At least they were able to safely scout out an empty compound. That's essentially where they lost their 4th team member just a few minutes ago, but it is a 4-stack of SSG right up the hill that will certainly be aware of their presence, but not wanting to over-aggress onto this. Again, 16 teams still remaining. You go out now, and well, you're getting absolutely nothing.
For HOKAGE down the road from Nova Esports, HQA still in the vicinity as well, and behind them, I believe we've also got Revenants quite close by as well. They're backing further away from 4 HOKAGE though, as they're going further south, may run into the sightlines of Cream Esports, so they're not too careful, who are still in that Podvosto area. Up to the northwest, Team Anarchy, I believe, are taking some pop shots over at NVUS right now. Might be getting some knocks out there as version 2 Black and BlindedByWin are in the area as well. And as typical of Vikendi, no squad is out just yet. Phase 2 is getting close to popping, and that may force the hand of some of these teams.
Yeah, so it was a hard shift, and that's almost the worst case scenario here for these Vikendi circles. You are going to have to see at least some adjustments from these teams on the west-hand side of things, and while center circle was previously very, very crowded, it's now become the western side of phase number 2, and you're going to see some teams colliding as they make those movements.
I want to see these circles move further and further east and force these teams to remove themselves from that congested area and open it up into the east that Lights Out have had all to themselves, and really make use of the space available to them, because right now, what is it, that's 14, no, it's about 11 teams on the west island or the west side of the river, and only about 5 on the east, so it's not the perfect use of land available to them, but obviously there's a lot more to offer on that western side. A shot's going to be fired immediately. Revenants have been found out by Pittsburgh Knights. Tanker actually going to return a kill onto Jagger, get him knocked down as well, but Vigilante can't find a safe point. Peralta's getting in the vehicle, he's leaving the area as well. That's all she wrote for Revenants this round. They're going to play for placement at this point.
Again, keep in mind, Revenants started with 3. They just lost 2, and that's why the quick disengage from the remaining solo player of this squad over to the east. So, all things considered, likely going to be in the position they need to be for phases 3 and 4. We'll see if, though, that continues to favor them as we continue on. Pittsburgh Knights were able to pick up a nice 2-piece off of Revenants, but they have to worry. They gave away their position. A lot of shots ringing out from this compound, drawing the ears, sending out the audible cues to all of their opponents nearby. But Trid, one other thing to at least worry about or keep in mind with this area of the map is that river is frozen on the northern side of the map. These teams aren't going to have to be very vulnerable making those swims. They can quickly run across, but running across the wide open presents issues of its own.
Just exposing yourself at any time in this game when a team is watching attentively is lethal. Absolutely. Your Silent Killers across the way. Pittsburgh Knights off around this Nova Esports team, who hasn't had to make any rotations as of yet, because they are holding pretty much about as central as you can get into this phase 2 circle. So they hold the position right now. Revenants, Peralta, the last remaining member, he's taking up refuge in Cosmodrome for now, hoping that the circle just moves closer, and he has to minimize his rotations and max out his total placement here. As Nico in the UAS, you got Spec with him as well, I believe. Although they're in separate vehicles, they're just playing around the blue right now. They don't want to go into any engagements whatsoever, because they truly are going for placement right now.
And if they continue on this path, wrapping around the far southeastern corner or side of this phase number 2, they're going to find safety. They're not going to find a lot of teams congregating on this area, but a few teams that are starting to at least get out of safety. It's going to be Anarchy as well as version 2 Black. The damage being applied by Anarchy, but also being returned by the likes of Zlav and Collins. They need to be careful. Another team, NVUS, posturing up there on the hill. We'll be looking over, trying to spot out where all of this commotion is coming from here on the northern coast.
James just needs to keep on running. He's putting some distance between him and these two teams. NVUS probably the more lethal of the two right now based on numbers and position. Just up there on the high ground. Next circle, about to pop. We're going to finally see if any shifts are going to force their hands. It's playing relatively central. No hard shift coming in for phase 3. So everyone's going to be fine. It will force BlindedByWin and Team Anarchy to go back the way they came to get into that circle. Force Cream and Temper to come further north. But other than that, most other teams are relatively safe based off of that phase change.
But how safe are they? Everyone's getting closer and closer together. A mere 50 meters separates some of our teams from possibly going out. And again, 16th position. We haven't seen a team drop out just yet. 6 players have been eliminated, leaving us with 58. But all 16 enemy presences still survive here as we breach into the mid-game of Vikendi. And Will, it is certainly about to reach that boiling point. A lot of teams are going to be forced into engagements, whether or not they like it.
You can see a bit of a standoff happening now. Shoot to win, version 2 Black and NVUS. Just keeping eyes on each other. A triangle of death, if you will, in the northern part of this circle. They are in that next phase, most importantly, so no further rotation required as of yet, but they've got about less than a minute before things may change. Pop shot being taken. But Team Anarchy, they're mobile in that UAZ. Driving away, I believe they're all in the same vehicle. It's not the best of plans, especially when you get awfully close to where HQA are. They spot this and go for a spray down. It could be your run over for Vikendi.
Micro T, the rest of the crew continuing on. They're going to be taking this high ground here just north of where the coal mine position is. And if they look close enough, well, they'll likely be spotting out some of the members of HQA already inside of the mines themselves, trying to pick up some loot, some positioning in the process. But it certainly could be one of our first squad-on-squad engagements as the play area continues to shrink. Phase number 3 is in full effect. And just about 15 seconds until we start to see the blue zone shrink in and breach into phase number 4.
Tempo about to breach into the circle from the southeast. They're going to go straight over the top of Lights Out. They're not too careful. They may get sprayed down, but they're going to short just shy. Nico dismounting from that vehicle and going to go on foot. I believe Spec's going to do the same as they play the edge southeast of Cosmodrome. Lights Out are the closest team to them, and they've been looking pretty good right now. They're probably thoroughly looted based off the dominance they had over this eastern portion of the map. So I don't think you want to move much closer to them as that circle, like we already said, starting to shrink down. We'll pop the next phase. And as we get into phase 4, which will be our next one, that's when we might see some rotations forth. If this circle goes further east, that's when it's going to pop off a lot sooner than expected. As Memo taking those shots against Tempo already. As Nico and Spec just trying to find loot right now. And then they're going to mount up and try and get back on the road. But Lights Out spotted them. They can't go anywhere closer to them because if they get sprayed down, that's their run absolutely denied.
Yeah, they're on the edge of the zone. They've got the 2 vehicles at least to present some type of mobile cover should they make their way further in towards a centralized area. They're actually going to be refueling the car. Tempo Storm wants to continue to be able to ride in these vehicles because they know that another squad is looking down on them. Memo on top of the triangular shack will be trying to get that height advantage to present the lines of sight on his opponents as the rest of the Lights Out crew continue to utilize that third-person perspective to peek over the walls and keep their heads in safety.
Couple more seconds before that next phase pops. Nico trying to spot what he can from here. Mounted up in the vehicle, so he's ready to go as soon as that's all done. Specs driving at the moment. Phase is about to pop, and I think that's when we're going to see Tempo make the move. Get all the information they need, how far they need to go, where they even need to go at this point. And there it is. There's that circle shift I was looking for. Far over to the east. All those teams on the western edge. And now going to be sprinting over into the sightlines of Nova, of Pittsburgh Knights, of Cream Esports, as well as running past each other. Phase 4 is going to pop off, Esquire.
First to move will be favored in this from our teams over on the western side of the circle. But when you're first to move, you're also going to have a lot of eyes, a lot of guns trained in your direction as we already start to see Spacestation Gaming making that quick rotation from west to east, but the shots already starting to erupt as version 2 Black has to make that far shift off of the northwest through thick and thin. They have to go. Obstacles are standing in their way, but how can Sprat, the rest of the crew, combat against this?
Don't know about that one. Tempo, they know they got to move. Specs still being locked down by Lights Out. Nico taking a more forward position, or an alternative angle, shall we say. Just keep an eye on and maybe play insurance as Spec may try and get some kills, or may try and get himself out here as he jumped into the US. Going one at a time, though, to space out their transition and make sure that they're keeping at least one member alive. Playing very safe right now for this placement in the form of Tempo Storm.
Good rotation, though, coming out from Tempo. I like the fact that they're also taking up cover on the hillside, the back side of the mountain, blue zone on their back. Eliminate one of your flanks that you have to watch. Incredibly important when you have lost half of your squad in the early game. Nico and his teammate Spec have a huge task in front of them if they want to continue to climb. Again, still 16 teams remaining. Not many players have been dropped out. The action is going to pop off.
Just being dropped out as they try and drive past, I believe, that slab being knocked out of the map, and Raz and the rest of the sidelines are going to be there. Team Anarchy looking across the river, but they're running straight into Pittsburgh Knights. 9 being that first victim as Pyro opens up onto Yifei, shooting at him from behind the tree. He's got Kira to back him up as well, as they're going to get that flush onto Yifei. Make sure he's shut down away from HQA, who are now playing with 3 members of a squad. Bloomer getting knocked down by Juicy, and there's going to be another knock onto Waz. That's 2 members down. Return fire onto Juicy from Mega. That's going to return fire in that engagement. But Collins is going to knock on to 9. Anarchy James holding down the sight line, looking down the river. So everyone's popping off as they're trying to make these rotations, Esquire.
This is the frozen river that I teased at the onset of this game. It's wide open. Sure, you don't have to swim across it, but you have to run. And a lot of teams are already down there trying to be the thorns in the side of any other squad, making that western road, the eastern rotation rather, from the west. But it looks like HOKAGE has at least been able to send Tsukasa across the bridge. Other members will be in tow as the Pittsburgh Knights pop into that police car, and they've got to be heading for a more centralized position inside of the circle. The next shift is going to be landing on top of Cosmodrome, and while everyone is continuing to move once again as the kill feed now starts to pop off. We lost 2 teams, BlindedByWin. Hector, the rest of his crew need a huge finish here to get out of that danger zone. The bottom 8 teams is where they currently sit, but a nice game, either on Vikendi or Erangel, can possibly propel them into safety.
Tempo can play spoiler on this one right now. Lights Out taking a fight with Shoot to Win, and they are weakened from that engagement. Tempo may want to breach into the circle, knowing that the kill feed is popping up between those 2 teams, and they can get a pincer on Lights Out, because all these teams are trying to get into the circle. Manny, going to be driving around that US, just went straight into some firing lines, but going to be able to get out alive for HOKAGE. Not able to find those shots to get any knocks or flushes off of the back of that.
Again, for HOKAGE, a team that needs the points, they need the kills, they need the placement, was a good opportunity for them to swarm on top of BlindedByWin. Unfortunately, did not find the connections, and while BlindedByWin has secured a spot, a dominant hold on the southwestern side of the circle, just off the entry to the Cosmodrome, and they hear the other rotations coming. For HOKAGE is on the move, and they're drawing gunfire as they make their way from north to south. Ark's going to be popping off some shots, trying to find the connection as BlindedByWin is forced to drive down onto the frozen river to avoid these lines of sight entirely.
Misfits now taking that fight with Tempo. There's a spray down onto for HOKAGE. Health bars are low. There's 1 knock. There's 2 knock, and that's going to be for HOKAGE suffering 2 casualties. It's just too easy for BlindedByWin at this point.
And too easy for anyone based off of the move that HOKAGE was making. Great to see BlindedByWin capitalize on it, because, hey, these are actually 2 teams that we could have head-to-headed, saying both of these squads have to put up massive points. They've got to do something, and BlindedByWin is capitalizing on it right now. 1 kill to their name, but they've been able to at least outlast 3 other teams in the lobby so far, which, all things considered, it's not too shabby for Arcs and the rest of the crew. But now they're finding themselves on this southwestern border of the zone. The northwest is the compacted area of it. Cosmodrome is absolutely crowded. Teams are going to be showing down here as they move from warehouse to building across these wide open areas.
If they were living in London right now, Esquire, they would be paying a congestion charge, because that's exactly what they are, all stacked on top of each other. And
well, this is North America, Trid. We don't have congestion charges here in this region, so I don't think anyone has a clue what you're talking about.
The congestion charge is basically the amount of time you have to spend in LA traffic. I can tell you that one being around.
There we go.
Here.
That's something we can.
There we go. You can relate to that one. I can switch it up across the Atlantic. But regardless of the fact, a lot of teams stacked on top of each other in the northwest. Nova going to come in from the northeast, try and get into that circle. A crate to entice all these rats out of their holes and potentially go into a fight. This landing right on top of Pittsburgh Knights. This could be great for them if they can find a way up onto the ground floor to go ahead and open up the package, see what's inside. But you can already see the fire coming at them from 4 HOKAGE, I believe, on the outside, and Nova, who are heading down into the area on their side of the circle.
That's a bait crate. So much can be gained, but 7 from Pittsburgh Knights going to be spotted out. M24 shot coming out from Knockhead, doing exactly that, taking the head off of one of the members of the Knights as they now try to reposition. They've got to hide from any of these shots, but hide from one angle and completely reveal yourselves to another, as Kuang from HQA going to be forcefully pushing himself into this warehouse, secures a nice flush and a kill on the player number 7 from Pittsburgh Knights.
Someone just blows up that car. They're going to deal so much damage to HQA, or even get a grenade in there as Wi-Fi heading over. Kuang going to suffer some hurt from behind, still firing, still getting gunshots out. Is Wi-Fi going to run past? I believe he's on a different level or a different plane right now to HQA. Not been able to spot that one out though, but they're still taking cover inside that large area. Silent Killers get some shots onto BlindedByWin. 2 knocks down. Manny and Hector. Return fire coming in from Arcs will knock down Mitz. Hector finally going to be flushed out by Chris. There's Woods going down as well. I believe BlindedByWin might not have any members left in this race. Actually, Arx is going to be stood up there to try and get them back in the game. They still got SK members around that area that will pose difficulty for him looking for those reses.
Listen, BlindedByWin has not done enough yet in this game to say, okay, we went out in 13th position, we had enough kills to counter that. They don't. They only have about 1 kill to their name, and now a solo player, Arx. It's all onto his shoulders. He's got to survive in this game. He's got to continue to rack up into these placements to get some points. Only 2 games remain after this, and both of them are on Erangel. And none of it's going to be easy for BlindedByWin from this point onwards. Team Anarchy holding onto that spot on the western side of Cosmodrome. A nice building secure for them as the Pittsburgh Knights now take it into the underground, holding onto these corners. If any team moves down here, well, they're going to be caught out by the Knights, and those shots will be decimating them.
That circle just condensing even further on Cosmodrome, but no one's going to be caught off guard by that one. So everyone's in the area, as you can see, with this overhead shoot to win, just coming straight into the kill zone. Nova going to spray down 2 members, make that 3, and that is shoot to win's run being ended. They will not get that second first place finish in a row. Nova sorted that.
A tough task, certainly, but they will be going down and out as Nova continues to try to reposition. 2 kills to their name as Kato holds on to this far northern flank, just watching over towards the west. And phase number 6 has popped. We went east, east, east. Now we go back towards the west. Our teams that had to make those far transitions from west to east are finding themselves at least in a safe position, not having to move once again. But Cream going to be sending it up as well. Many teams will be facing off against Resistance on the path to safety. And, well, they're already starting to feel that way. The Revenant solo player Peralta going to be here in Cream down to the south, certainly getting dangerously nearby to one another as they enter into the Cosmodrome. But Nova is on the swarm. They're going to be moving down from east to west and then dropping down into the northern side of phase number 7.
Beowulf leading the charge. He's being the point man, being the scout, if you will, for this forward path they're snaking through. Peralta will get a knock onto Cheto. Like we said, he's already working as a solo operator, but that's a 4-man squad of Cream you need to be conscious of. So Peralta, again, going to open it up onto another one. Can he get the third as well? As you're going to see another member come up. He's getting the damage in. Pirate going to get knocked as well. It's just Kira alive. Peralta might single-handedly knock Cream Esports out this round. Just needs to find one more. He's going for the flushes instead. Karma is there. Going to move past. He's conscious of where that last teammate is, but there he secures the flush. He's looking for more. Kira opens it up. He's going to rush up the stairs. Spray down from Peralta, but no! A valiant effort cut short by Kira. He'll keep another member. 2 members of Cream left in this game now.
Huge misplay coming up from Cream Esports. Essentially, all Peralta was screaming was the ants go marching 1 by 1 right into my AKM, picking up 3 kills in the process. Not too devastating for him, although they do go out in 12th position. 11 teams remaining, 29 players alive as we approach the 30-minute mark of this game here on Vikendi. It's been a rather slow start, but that is all changing right now as Nova's Edwin has their sights on the HQA inside of the warehouse. The spray coming out, not finding the connection, but the position completely exposed.
Going out the backside of that one, smoke cutting off any sight lines. You can see Pittsburgh Knights still locking down that position low. Wang going down low. Sliver of HP behind cover for now. We'll have to med up and try and group up with the rest of his team who are just hiding out in the smoke, hiding around the terrain, trying to get out of the line of sight of Nova.
As we start to see the landscape be set for the final stages of game number 2, where we're starting to get a better idea of what teams are in good positions, who's going to be favored by the future zones. We're going to see here NVUS going to be spotting out Spacestation Gaming as one of the 2 remaining players. Helmet not able to find any connections, but he's trying to run away. He's going to be spotted out from the backside and will taken down. It's all up to Juicy inside of this little bit of a divot here in Cosmodrome as he sees his teammate try to crawl to safety. Not fast enough. Helmet gets dropped down and flushed out of the game right in front of Juicy's eyes, and while he's under fire, pressure being applied, dropped down to 35 HP, has to get some recovery going, but also has to get that smoke concealment out. This could be a huge play for Juicy in terms of his survivability.
Just locked down his position. He will have to move as well. He's not in that newly formed circle. It's Lucifer going to get that knock onto Team Anarchy 9 off in the corner. Nova are in the area close to Juicy. They're going to be able to make a rotation. If Juicy shows himself too early, that's 4 guns trained in his general vicinity. It's for HOKAGE. Keeping an eye out. Looking around in the area where Pittsburgh Knight and HQA are hiding out, but they're a 2-man squad, hoping they got some utility to help make them this next transition around the circle, because they're pretty exposed right now the second they leave that cover, but there's the smoke grenades coming out just try and cut off some sightlines and make a safer path for themselves.
6 teams have to move off of these eastern positions to get over to the west inside of phase number 8, and it's going to be very, very difficult to do so. Pittsburgh Knights already departing that underground tunnel they've been holding on to so tightly for the last few minutes. Well, they're already starting to see some of their opponents in front of them. For HOKAGE, dangerously close to being wiped out by Jagger and the rest of the crew, but Jagger has to be careful. The shot's coming out. His own team is being ripped through right now by the members of HOKAGE. He's thankfully there. He's able to secure it, but instantly gets knocked by another team.
Jagger obviously taking down Hashirama. Koto is going to be the one to knock him down. So Nova getting on the board now is Silent actually getting the molly knock onto Chris. You can see the last-ditch effort from Pittsburgh Knights here. Monarch going for the med game, hoping a couple of teams will get knocked out. But with Jagger going down as well, I have a feeling you're probably going to be the next team. Koto stacking up on the door. He's got Beowulf right on his 6, ready in case anyone wants to move. In fact, all of Nova in this congested, tight room, keeping an eye out. Is a location they can fortify, but there's a lot of entry points in here. Cheto moving very close to them. If Nova get wind of this one, they may breach out onto him, and that might be the end of Cream's run. Beowulf
going to be looking this direction, certainly aware
Spraying
of some type of presence. Cheto not going to be connected on. Oh, there it is. 1-2 shots, and the third comes in. Cheto going to be dropped down as Nova continues to steamroll over every team in the lobby. Their 9th kill of the game. 7 teams remaining, 18 players alive, and they're not stopping just yet. Just off to the south of their building, it's going to be none other than Team Anarchy trying to push in. Well, they certainly faced off against a lot of damage trying to breach into the building, and now finding themselves on their back foot as Nova continues to apply whatever pressure they can. They're trying to hold on to this as best as possible, but it's going to become increasingly difficult as the nades start to come in. Killer with a huge frag on top of Sam.
Going to knock him, but it's not going to result in too much. As Anarchy actually looking to breach in here. 9 opening it up, trying to find Koto, playing around the pillar. Killer looking for the breach, sprays through what gaps he can. It's an isolated member of Nova. The flank coming in for Beowulf will start opening it up, but he's been knocked himself. Killer being the one to do it. Here comes the flank from behind. Edwin gets the drop with the micro Uzi. And there's 9 going to be dropped as well. Nova still alive in this one. There's reinforcements coming in. There's one last member that needs to be dropped. There's the clearance coming in. Killer will go down. Nova stay alive, but they lose Koto in the process.
4 teams now remaining. Nova has made it into the final stages of this game with at least 3 members alive, although we did see one bleeding out, but the action continues to erupt. It's going to be NVUS facing off against Knockhead and the rest of the crew trying to come in. BlindedByWin taking casualties as well, but they made it so far into this game. Now 2 teams remaining. Nova going to be facing off to try to get a chicken.
It's a battle of the meds. He's going to come down to it. BlindedByWin off to the side arcs. They've got Edwin and Sam trying to go for it. There's 2 teams remaining, 3 alive. They're trying to go for the kill. Oh no, that's going to be 1 going down. BlindedByWin arcs trying to stay alive. Did BlindedByWin actually get that?
Yep, he did it.
They outmedded Nova, and BlindedByWin yoink a first place finish away from them.
Solid performance coming out of BlindedByWin. 7 kills to their name. And again, you have to question Nova. They stopped medding. Did they have any more meds to their name, or were they solely trying to flush out that lone member of BlindedByWin? Well, regardless of whatever their intention was, it didn't work out, and BlindedByWin gets exactly the type of points they need to propel them out of the danger zone in the bottom 8 teams of the lobby.
30 points, in fact, just off that first place finish. Then you throw in a couple of kills to boot. I'm just having a quick look. There's 7 kills there as well. 37 points. That's more than enough to get them into that top 24 for now. So it's looking pretty good for them as we head into what is effectively our halftime area of the night.
Sure enough, it is the halftime of the night. 2 more games to be played out, and both of them will be on Erangel. So make sure to go get a snack and then join us for games 3 and 4 of day number 6.
Zombie, Darkest Night, the newest mode in the zombie universe, is here. This time, the rules are different. No more parachuting, as players will be placed at random locations on the map when the match begins, and there is no single winner. Players must work with their teammates to spend one long night in the match and stay alive until the sun comes up. Waves and waves of zombies will spawn during each of the 3 foggy periods at night, and supplies should only be scavenged when the fog fades. The main objective is not to defeat other players, though this doesn't mean they are harmless. Players may need to work with other teams when necessary, but should also watch their backs in case the Fragile Alliance goes south. This will be a unique experience for every player involved. This new mode also comes with a passive skill for every player. Understanding these skills will be the key to staying alive in this long night. Can you ride out the night?
Welcome back, everyone, to the final day of the group stages for the PUBG Mobile Club Open. We're at the halfway point of the day. Games 1 and 2 have been played out. We've seen some pretty stellar victories, but now we reach into the critical moment trid of the day.
Yeah, and there was, this last match didn't go out necessarily with a bang, more of a whimper. It came to a med battle between BlindedByWin and another team. Unfortunately, victory was yoinked out away from them. The team you'd expect to come away with the victory was unable to do so. The solo player ultimately outmade them altogether. BlindedByWin, you just saw on your screen, they're actually going down quite early, or at least losing 2 members, so surprisingly they managed to sneak out a victory. But that 37-point injection was exactly what they needed to get back in the standings and try and avoid that relegation zone.
Certainly everyone is going to be excited to see where BlindedByWin sits now on the global leaderboards after that commanding finish. But speaking of commanding plays, well, Revenants, Peralta, that solo player, you can't take anything away from what he almost accomplished there. It was almost a full 1v4 against that squad.
And Nova, they were so weak from this engagement with Team Anarchy that they just weren't able to go out and try and contend with BlindedByWin, who, I said it on the cast, yoinked the victory away from them with the med heal, just being able to out-heal them. We weren't certain if Nova were opting to try and go for the kill, or they just ran out of med, so they were forced to go for the kill when it came down to those final moments, which are on your screen right now. It looks like 2 med packs for Edwin. He's going to burn through one straight away. I'm not so sure about what's in Sam's arsenal, but it's just Arcs hidden over in the corner, going for the med battle. They rush out, looking to go for a kill. Yeah, they were out for blood. They had the med option there. They just couldn't find Arcs, and ultimately walk away with the 2nd place finish because of it.
Yeah, a huge finish, a much needed finish for BlindedByWin. Again, had they not gotten it there, well, these last 2 games would have been even more sweaty for them. But again, they're not necessarily safe trade. That was what they needed, sure, but they're still going to be in that danger zone where a few other teams can leapfrog them and maybe push them back down on those leaderboards. But speaking of them, let's take a look. Let's see where our teams are landing after the halfway point of today.
Looking really bad for version 2 Black right now, Esquire. 2 more matches to go for them and are still in 30th place. There's a 20-odd point gap between them and safety right now, so it is still surmountable in these final 2 games, but they need to start pulling out the W's and getting up the rankings in these individual matches.
But so do HOKAGE, so do the Silent Killers, so do NVUS. These teams need to do something. They don't even necessarily need huge games. They just have to do something in terms of placements, or maybe even some kills to boot. But as we continue to climb, you're starting to see even more separation. A few of the teams, though, in the bottom of this page, still in that danger zone.
That's absolutely huge for BlindedByWin, though. They climbed up to 17th place off that 37-point finish. You can show, just goes to show how much mobility there is left in these final 2 matches. Team Era, they are the gatekeepers of the 24th position right now. Version 2 White and HQA, they're still on 10 map wins. They're not safe, but they're the closest to dropping out into the danger zone. Revenants, just outside of that top 8 position. Tempo Storm dropping down another place. But they are still in relative safety with 170 points. I don't expect those to drop down below that 24th place position.
Yeah, Tempo's had a tough set of games so far on the day. They lost members early, and it's forced them to play outside of their comfort zone. They're not able to roll around as that Tempo Storm deathball that we've been at least accustomed to seeing from that squad over the course of the last 2 weeks. But here are your top 8. Misfits still, again, not playing today, but they hold on to that first place position.
Not for
as
long.
Nova climbs.
46 points out of the way of it. A squad that's so close. Nova definitely in contention to take that first place finish. But enough reflecting on what has been. Let's look towards what can be as we jump onto Erangel, our third map of the day, and we're looking at an eastern flight path.
Favored over towards the east, off center just a bit, about 1 kilometer. So teams going over towards the west coast, which we know there are a lot of teams that favor this western coast. Well, they've got a bit of a trek ahead of them. Might need to find some vehicles along the way to get down to those far secluded areas, specifically looking down towards Primorsk, Quarry Ferry Pier, and then maybe the western side of Sosnovka military base, but already teams jumping out early. Shoot to win Psycho. The rest of the crew will be heading near Severny, and we're thankful for them. It's wide open.
As is most of the northern section of this map. Nozaki, Georgia Pole, Starbar, Kameski, they're all going to be fine. But I don't know about HQA. HQA might try and wrap around into South Georgia and go north off the back of it. But Shoot to Win have a lot of territory here to themselves, and it's starting to get a little bit congested down to the mid and bottom portions of this map.
Nova going down to Novo on military base. They're going to be the only team here in this match that opts to do so, but it's no shift off of their previous strategies. This is a area of the map that they know and love, and likely have a great grasp on how to rotate out of it should they see a circle that doesn't necessarily favor them. But here it is, about a 60-40 split in favor of the mainland of Erangel. The military island certainly will be in play, so it could go either direction.
And Nova aren't in too much difficulty right now. They don't have to cross the dreaded bridge for now. They may have to later, depending on where the circle moves to afterwards. But NVUS already taking a few pop shots at HQA, I believe. Let's have a look at Yasnaya. You got Revenants and Spacestation Gaming doing the split down the middle. Going to be looted around here before they have to move down to that circle in the southwest portion of the map. Like we said, Nova can get that easy rotation onto the island. It's just about when they are forced to leave, it becomes problematic.
BlindedByWin looking for another huge performance to even further solidify them in those top 24 teams. All 4 alive, going to be looting up here just off to the west of Farm, a little bit south of Pachinki. Not a bad area for them to be in, but albeit they're not going to be able to at least take away a ton of loot. These aren't high loot priority compounds that they've been dropping into, and all 4 will be piling into a US to likely go to even more areas to try to pick up some of that much needed armor, utility, as well as ammunition that will take them into the late game.
Chateau just going for a bit of a sprint here across the plains, leaving and trying to get away from Tempo, who've taken over Milta for themselves, heading towards Milta Power with the rest of his team. Chica and the boys starting to loot up. He's already got a Car 98 and the Micro Uzi, which is always good. As we know, the PUBG Mobile players love to pick that up. SK having a few shots fired, actually, as they're going around by that pier. There's no one in the area, though, so they might have just been popping off their weapons.
Over here in Milta, or what we were just looking at, I mean, Tippo Storm is a team that loves that Milta spot. We're already seeing other teams, though, start to ride towards that western coast. It's going to be inside of the circle. The plane path didn't favor it, and that's why Silent Killers, Mraz, and the rest of the crew, Chris ahead of him, are going to be piling into those vehicles and bombing down on Primorsk. And, well, they're going to be wide open to loot to their heart's content. No other team has contested this area, be it off the drop or off of a early rotation coming into phase number 1. But the blue zone will start to come in here in about 45 seconds, and the teams will have to be cognizant of that fact as they continue on here through game number 3.
Just having a look at Shoot to Win, who are occupying that northern part. They've not really left Severny yet. They're happy to loot up here before they go for further pastures, but they haven't got a lot of loot time up in the north. HQA, they're occupying South Georgia Pole. They may go up to the north quickly before they have to rotate back down. They're looking pretty good right now. Nova still haven't left Novo. And just in the bottom left section, or southwest section, you got Primorsk going ahead and looting up.
Back here to Yasnaya. These 2 teams, Spacestation Gaming and Revenants, 2 powerful teams in their own right. Certainly not going to be clashing just yet. Again, Yasnaya, we've talked about it several times over the course of the last 2 weeks. Yasnaya is a team that, or rather a town that can house multiple different teams. 2 teams can sit here comfortably looting up the east and the west, leaving a little bit of a buffer zone to split the city in half. Should they want to clash, well, certainly they could do so, but they can also loot safely to their heart's content and then disengage off to the opposite directions. We have not seen those rotations come out just yet, but it's only a matter of time before those begin. as we continue to pop around the map. Version 2 Black trying to have a huge game again. Trid, you mentioned it just before this game. They are a squad that has to make big moves. The pressure is certainly on. We're looking to see some top performances out of some of the teams that haven't been able to execute on that so far.
They're just occupying Pachinki right now. They're still in that first phase circle. They won't have to move very quickly, but they may have teams pass through them as their way into the area. Circle has started to shrinking, so players will have to be making those rotations relatively shortly. You got Gatka being occupied by Pittsburgh Knights over to the west. We're having a quick look at where Lights Out are, and they're just around the Rozhok area for now. Fairly uncontested with that. They've got Team Anarchy and NVUS in the nearby vicinity, but no one's positioning to go ahead and make much, inflict much damage onto each other, because it's all about looting right now, and teams are very happy just to leave each other to it.
I'm at least going to have my eyes on Team Anarchy in this apartment position, given the rotation, albeit short from Lights Out that has to happen out of Rozhok. Well, certainly Team Anarchy is in a position to punish that should they drop down from that northern position down south across Roz Hill, those wide open areas. But Tempo Storm going to be finding some early action, or on the receiving end of some early action, as version 2 Whites, Mega 19, going to be spraying the ump. I mean, that's a that's a far shot with a low caliber gun.
It's ambitious to try and get those shots off.
I don't even know if it's ambitious. It might be something worse.
Well, for the sake of his pride, we'll just go with ambitious and we'll leave it at that. Not going to work out for them just yet. Does give away a lot of information. Tried to go for the gamble. Didn't really pay off, but there was no real consequence other than the exchange of information.
Tempo didn't know it was 45 caliber rounds that were being sprayed down at him.
Well, they just definitely put on the shift and the turbo and was like, I'm getting out of here, boys. See you later.
I think a mosquito's biting us is probably what Tempo was saying.
Yeah, a bit more of a nuisance than anything that's going to be quite lethal for them. But Cream is starting to make that rotation into that phase 1 circle. They've all mounted up into separate vehicles, so they're happy to go ahead and do that. BlindedByWin, actually very close to that Tempo team. Doors open, Lost. May have heard that, but he didn't see it. Chica taking a few shots off to the side, and Woods is getting this information for the rest of his team, because it's taking shots at BlindedByWin. They realize there's only 2 Tempo members. They are definitely going to want to push this, but I don't think they're 100% on that fact, so they're not going to do anything too hasty. Tempo, they're very cognizant of that choice, that there's only 2 of them here to take this engagement, so they might not want to take it. Lost, looking around to the side, potentially going for the flank onto Woods.
The other members of Tempo are very far off separated. The 2 members over in Melter aren't going to be able to provide support. Woods is trying to clear through this building, going to be spotting out Lost, sprays him down with the micro Uzi, and finds the connection. Down goes one of the members of Tempo Storm here in this compound, but Chica is coming in to support, trying to spray down Woods, able to drop him down to about 45% HP, but the return fire comes out. Another knock for Woods on the Tempo Storm. They're going to be able to secure these flushes. The other 2 members of Tempo, they're not coming to help you out whatsoever, and Tempo, once again, just like last game, are going to be restricted to 2 remaining team members that try to break through to those top placements.
On one side, disappointed that Tempo are being handicapped so early on, but when you look at BlindedByWin, a team that desperately needs these points, another 4 on the board off the bat. It's a fantastic start for them. Everyone's starting to mount up now and move towards the center for HOKAGE. They're happy with the loot they've got so far. 4 separate vehicles for them as well. They can create a mobile fort if they need to as they head towards the center. Just moving down to the southwest of Pachinki area. Moving towards that pier, actually. Cream are doing more of the same. Shots being fired by Revenants. We're on board with Lights Out, who are probably one of the furthest away from where the action is going to be. Just southeast of Rozhok, looking to move into the circle eventually as that phase is about to complete.
We were curious how Lights Out was going to rotate out of Rozhok. They have the vehicles, and they're going to be going back through Rozhok. They maybe felt a little bit too much resistance wrapping around that eastern side of phase number 1. Well, back to Roz Hill they go. Able to secure some information. Lucifer pops back inside of the vehicle. Continues on across these wide open rolling hills of Erangel to hopefully find a better position. But phase 2 is popped. Let's get that on the screen and see where our teams will have to be going to try to find their next position inside of this zone. Down to the southwest we go. And will these teams from the north, from the east, have to make the trek? I'm looking at Nova, though. They've already moved off of Novo, that military island spot, in favor of that eastern bridge. But will they go back down, Trid? That's the question for me. Or will they opt to go far north onto the main part of Erangel and then rotate over to the west?
Depends what you value more. If I was them, I'd stick to the east. It's less congested, less chance of being camped on a finite choke point. They have more options of attack if they make it onto the main land. Cream eyeing up for HOKAGE. Sunade. He's getting the information right now. Shadow's going to get in the vehicle just in case, but he jumps immediately out once they spot Sunade. Going to go for a pop shot, but nothing else. trying to get eyes on. I don't know if they can actually see him
He's on the cliffside, Trid. I think he's down there near the water running. I don't think he's out in the open. Sure enough, yeah, he will be down there and will be going down and out as Hashirama. As Tsunade gets a loot infusion from his teammate. It's bittersweet picking up your teammate's gear, but it certainly is going to help them continue on here because Tsunade needed that ammo to toss into the M16. But another team going to be entering the fray.
Win. How'd you do so well and then you just make this mistake? You crash into a compound occupied by Cream. It's an absolute disaster for our map to win as Woods did get the knock back onto Pirates and they're trying to turn it around. God bless their souls, but Cream got a dominant hold on it for now. Arx is going to get confirmed here, and they're committing to this one as they're just going to spray down that final member. Get the flush off the back of it. Woods is going to go. I believe a small contingent of BlindedByWin did get out of there, though.
So the other vehicle of BlindedByWin, they went on. They were able to avoid this, but they turned back around and tried to crash into the gas station. They've disengaged now once again, but aggressive play is coming out from a team that does not have the members to play off of that type of strategy. Get out of dodge is all BlindedByWin can do at this stage in the game and try to salvage that placement points. 16th place, not where you want to be going out. 16 teams, all of them still remaining, and silent killers are on the move, trying to spot out the infiltrator of this compound. None other than HQA's Michael.
And version 2 Black also nearby. Sprat just sitting in the area. Chris is looking in the direction of Michael. He's called in Felix for reinforcements as well as Chris. Going to move around. The flank is coming in here from Mitz. He's going to get shots of Michael very quickly, using the third person perspective to have a quick look at what's going on over there. Not going to force his hand just yet, uncertain of numbers, but the trap is being laid by silent killers. They're moving around, but actually backing off from this. I'm not sure if they got 100% information on where Michael was.
Yeah, I don't think they do either, and they don't want to overly aggress and get caught out by a solo player peeking a lucky corner. But Michael continues to hold strong just underneath that water tower, and silent killers want none of this. They're going to be at least pulling back inside of their compound as more teams start to at least surround this western bridge that it is now inside of the circle as the blue zone starts to shrink in. Phase number 2 about to transition into phase number 3, and that's going to be none other than Toby Rama under fire as Cheto sprays down with the AKM. His teammates in tow as well. Damage being applied to the vehicle, not so much to the person.
For HOKAGE eyeing up the long rotation around Military Island, well, there's no long rotation to be made. It's only the western side of the bridge enabled to them. They're backing themselves into a corner, Esquire, right now. Cream will have to go past that general area, but they don't need to go into that territory that HOKAGE are occupying. They can just go straight past. However, the same can't be said for them. It's a very difficult spot for them.
You can't see it on the screen right now, but just over to the west, off of this position where Cream and HOKAGE are, well, BlindedByWin sits in wait on the eastern side of this circle, and I don't think they want this engagement. They don't want to see any more conflict at this stage in the game.
Not with Cream.
Well, certainly not with Cream. Yeah, they already lost 2 members to that Cream onslaught when they crashed into the garage. But it's going to become increasingly deadly. Phase number 3 is going to have a little bit of water in it. About 80% of the play zone is actually going to be playable here for the teams, and well, some interesting rotations are being made. I see version 2 Black opting to go outside of phase number 3 in favor of that far western rotation near the quarry, most likely, but they're going to be finding some resistance there.
Spec just off to the north as well. They may be clashing with him. Squire, I'm surprised that no team has been fully eliminated as of yet as we move into our third phase of the map. And we're on board with Muraz, still very close to HQA Michael. The rest of the team just keeping an eye out on any aggressors. You can see that Michael's teammate is in close area nearby, so they do have resistance. Cheto taking a lot of fire as he drives across the territory occupied by version 2 White. Will get out of it alive as Lights Out, getting a knock onto Cream. Karma, who's crawling away for his life. 2 members still in the vehicle. Cheto driving around on this one. It's going to be a flush coming in, but Karma's knocked down. Cheto, the last remaining member for Cream. He's trying to get away with his life, and there's going to be the flush coming in for Memo, taking out Cream Karma.
Lights Out hold a dominant position on these quarry cliffs that can counter so many of the areas around them, but there is a counter position to that. It's the northern cliffs of Quarry, where some teams might start to posture themselves, as we see Shoot to Win making their way down from north to south. But Cream's Cheto has found safety. But Nova, they were able to wrap all the way from Novo down on Sosnovka Island, right up on top of Team Anarchy. They've got them in their sights. They know exactly where they are, and you are about to see some pressure being applied as Kato preps the nades. The gun spray going to be coming out from his other teammates as they try to throw whatever they can down the hill and hopefully find the connections.
Sam going down very low. In fact, he's going to get the knock in. James coming in looking for the flush. They're just going for the kill straight up. Edwin's been knocked as well. Sam's going to go down as well. There's only one member for Nova left standing. Beowulf has to return fire. Decard, it's Cotto looking to do what he can. Cotto's still alive, so with Beowulf so close to going down. Anarchy gonna have to med up though. They can't chase this one down. Lots of low HP as Jagger even getting involved, trying to third party the action all the way from afar with the VSS. Pressure being applied, but nothing being capitalized from it. Next phase just about to pop.
There is one team in this 32-team group for North America that is cheering right now when they see Nova dropping. That's Misfits. Nova is in contention of that first place position, and the spray continues to come out from James's team. Anarchy. Kato going to be dropped down, bleeding out as Beowulf dries away. Not going to be able to loop back around and pull a Yui to get back to his teammate to provide any type of help. Not going to be able to get the res either, and will Anarchy has absolutely come up on top of that in terms of Nova. But the shift continues off to the far west. A hard shift right up on top of Corey in the southern regions, and that hillside that Lights Out is holding on to where they got the kills onto the members of Cream. It is going to be a bloodbath.
Tempo don't have to make any rotations. They're already on that border. They just step a couple of inches forward and they're going to be fine. Chris going for a little bit of an explore. One last check of the area. You got 4 HOKAGE and Michael still in that area as Felix opens up onto Wi-Fi from the Pittsburgh Knights. Not going to find anything from that one. Just jumping around 2 mitts inside the building. Trying to get eyes on. Not going to find anything. Taking a few shots at that buggy that's being occupied, but won't find anything from it. Pittsburgh Knights get away with this one.
Michael from HQA is still mixed up within the members of Silent Killers here in this compound. His other teammate from HQA a little bit off to the northwest inside of the zone, but the Pittsburgh Knights continue to take fire from this compound, almost bodyguarding Michael for the time being. Have they almost forgotten about his position? Have they forgotten that a threat has at least moved into this compound off of that far eastern angle? And well, this could spell disaster for at least some of the members of Silent Killers as they continue on here in this game.
Manny and Hector just in this shack. You can see Spacestation Gaming off in the distance. Chris spotting out Toby Rama. Taking the pop shots. He's going to connect him, and there's the knock coming in. Just looking for the flush as well. He's wide out in the open. 4 HOKAGE are in the area, but they can't get to him in time. Toby Rama may have found cover, actually. There's still a little bit of hope left for him. You got Tsunade and Sukasa in the area to try and help him, but Toby Rama took another bullet. He's just going to bleed out here. I don't think there's any safety for him. 2 members left for HOKAGE.
BlindedByWin. Very difficult position for them to be in right now inside of that shack. Wide open area essentially surrounds them, as well as 2 teams, Silent Killers and Spacestation Gaming. But with the Spacestation Gaming rather elevated vantage, they might be able to see inside of those windows atop the shack and find the connections onto the remaining 2 members of BlindedByWin. But here's the sort of saving grace for BlindedByWin. As long as Spacestation Gaming doesn't pop out a smoke wall and aggress up onto this compound, no one is. It's essentially a moat of protection. But here it comes. Spacestation Gaming knows that they have BlindedByWin caught, and Juicy, the front man, as always, going to be pushing up ahead of his squad, trying to find those frags.
There's only one avenue of escape from him. Hector pops out, spray comes in, and Hector goes down. Manny's left up, can go for the res, and if I'm him, I'm looking to do that very quickly before this rush comes in from Space Station. Still taking a few pop shots at the property, but not going to find him. Resurrection going to come out for Hector, and he needs to med up fast while there's some respite before SSG potentially look for the kill.
Well, here's the thing. The saving grace as well is the fact that Juicy got dropped down to about 1% HP by BlindedByWin. The shots came in from further east. Silent Killers got the knock onto Juicy, and that stalled the engagement entirely. Now SSG recovers off of it. Sixless and the rest of the crew able to pick up Juicy, and they continue on now up the hill. But there are a lot of shots going across the map, a lot of flushes, a lot of knocks popping off, specifically rather in between Team Anarchy as well as NVUS. But the circle continues to close, and while Space Station Gaming, they still have their eyes set on BlindedByWin inside of the shacks.
Very central next phase. No hard shifts coming in, just going to force them closer together. Nova just on the border there. Beowulf still around. You got Team Anarchy, version 2 Black, and Pittsburgh Knights in the area so far. Lights out going to come from the opposite side. Michael still chasing Silent Killers, so I'm going to see if he can get any kills off the back of that while Yife acts as the insurance policy for them. As Manny keeping eyes on Space Station Gaming. Still a couple of shots being fired right now. It's version 2 Black near Micro TT. Look how close he is to Chica. If he pops over that mountain, could be detrimental to him. He goes for the peek, and there's the spray down. Micro TT going to get knocked. There's another member of Team Anarchy alive to keep him back in this one, but that knock's going to easily be converted into a flush. No one's around there to get any kind of assistance in there for him.
Even concerned, though, about version 2 Black's position. They already lost Sprat. They're working with 3 members alive in their dead center. This area isn't necessarily favorable to be centered up in because of all the deflate, all the dips that present themselves for teams to encroach upon and be a deadly threat. Seagut, though, lights out, going to be fragging out. A few other teams starting to at least move in off of this eastern flank as HQA continues to snake on the backside of where the Silent Killers are rotating. Silent Killers inside, but it's going to be lights out here from the Corey Hills once again, trying to spray down on the team number 12. Version 2 White in a lot of danger, trying to get out of dodge. They're not going to be able to do it. Memo with the M416 headshot finds Mega, drops him out of the vehicle, and Version 2 White has to continue on. If they stop here, they risk being swarmed by all of the other teams currently in the vicinity.
I think Silent Killers also found Michael, who's sneaking in with them, so Yefe is the last remaining member. Look up on the hill here, Psycho taking some shots at the vehicle. Slav gonna actually be dealing damage onto Bad Player. You got version 2 White, version 2 Black potentially being set up here as shoot to win. Look at the third party on that one. Psycho taking a few shots, will get the knock onto Mega. And look at lights out, trying to scurry away from the vehicle. Lucifer pinned down behind this tree. Psycho still raining down fire from above, but some shots coming in onto him. Needs to take cover, stop his reign of attack. I think it was Beowulf taking those pop shots off to the side.
I am a little bit upset right now at Lights Out. They did not play the Corey Hills as they needed to. 2 other teams that pushed up now, and they have totally given away their position, stuck to just hug the cliffside of the Corey Hills that they were previously up on top of. And we'll see, Gut. He's got the Dacia prepped and ready. Should Memo and him have to cross the road, the wide open area to get to Lucifer. If they pound that Dacia rather into the back of the UAZ, well, they might have an opportunity to create a lot of mobile cover for them to utilize inside of this zone as the blue closes out.
Shadow just been spotted out there, believed by Beowulf. Will get that kill. Version 2 Black occupying Central right now. Silent Killer's very close to them. Everyone else playing Edge for the time being. And that next circle's going to pop, dictate the movement. It's moving over towards Tempo, towards Pittsburgh Knights and Space Station Gaming. That northeast section, a lot of people going to have to get mobile and expose themselves to a lot of fire.
And it looks like we're about to have a 3-team clash down here to the south of phase number 5. Space Station Gaming just off to the east of Tempo Storm, as well as the Pittsburgh Knights, but they've spotted out the other members of BlindedByWin that they've had their focus on for so long. Stuck now behind a crate. They've departed the shack. The blue zone on their backs. What can BlindedByWin do here? They've already utilized those smokes in that shack engagement with SSG, but can they get the necessary knocks to open up their opportunity to make the movements? Pittsburgh Knights, though, under fire. Juicy continues to hold any type of flank position, not letting anything get past the Space Station Gaming squad.
Looking for the reses. After that engagement, they actually removed Tempo Storm from the map altogether, so Pittsburgh Knights picking up a squad wipe there on that one, but he needs to get back in the game because the pressure cannot be let off. Like we've already pointed out, Space Station Gaming eyeing up BlindedByWin off in the distance. They need to be conscious of what's coming over the hill to their left, though. Collins taking out Psycho. Hector going to be dropped down by Chris as it's Memo looking to find members of Shoot to Win. He's got the flush, and there's another one coming in as well. It's all gone wrong up on that hill, but version 2 Black sprays down Memo, gets the knock. Looking for the flush as well. Going to finish that one off as outside of 9K, Lucifer and Seagut still in the game for Lights Out, but they're working with 3 instead of the intended 4.
BlindedByWin was eliminated in 8th position. They're going to be walking away with 8 placement points from that. It's still in the positive. It's getting them higher and higher on the leaderboards, but other teams are still picking up points. 7 teams remaining, 18 players alive here in phase number 6, and it's becoming ever so pertinent for these teams to find a better position and hold down these angles as version 2 Black holds on to the top of this mountain. It's going to be a knock coming out. Nova's Beowulf with the VSS finds Chico rather, and he's going to be dropping him down, and the other members of version 2 Black are feeling the same pressure. Collins going down now, just Slav, and he's not going to be able to do it, and out they go to the hands of Nova in 6th position.
That's disastrous. Version 2 Black had a 3v1 on Beowulf if they just had the information. Yes, there was a lot of pressure coming around, but them going out in this position right now, when they were a team that desperately needed the points, they were in a great position to climb the rankings of this particular map. And just a lack of awareness of where Beowulf was, of a lack of initiative to be able to take him out, cost them so much in this Erangel map.
Kato, Edwin, and Sam in their team comms are saying Beowulf, emphasis on the Bay as he continues on here. 5 teams remaining, less than the 3-player per team average for these squads to work off of. Pittsburgh Knights still going to be alive on the southwestern edge of the zone, but Space Station Gaming is also pinched in between that squad and Silent Killers.
Carnage just took out that last member of Nova with a well-placed headshot, so they're going to go out in 5th place this time, and it just leaves a couple of squads remaining. Space Station is the only squad still at full strength, but you've got 3 squads of 3 remaining. Pittsburgh Knights, Silent Killers, and Lights Out. Silent Killers are the one that look to gain the most from this finish because they are the lowest in the rankings so far.
Lights Out were previously in a very tough position to work off of, but now they've found themselves in safety at the northern side of the zone, not having to contest against these other 3 teams down here to the south. The Silent Killers are taking damage. Felix going to be under fire, as well as Mraz. He's going to get immediately knocked by Sixless's AKM, but now the flush comes in. Juicy trying to find the ultimate kill with the M416, trying to spray down on any other parts of the smoke that any of the members of Silent Killers could be hiding in. Now just going to be Chris, though, left alive as Lucifer and the rest of this Lights Out squad start to crawl their way in for a central position.
Sixless will get that flush onto Mraz. It just leaves Chris for Silent Killers, and he's hoping to keep his head down here and get a stronger placement because there's a lot of squads still alive here that are able to contend and reduce their numbers, take engagements. Sixless is looking over in the general direction of where Silent Killers were, hoping he can spot out where that movement is going to come from. Now, the circle is collapsing onto Lights Out, so rotations will have to come in, but everyone's happy to snake. They've got enough time to be able to do that.
Yeah, because they don't know what lies in wait at the northern side of this zone. We saw a team in our previous few days in this exact same situation. Misfits, they took control of the zone and they swarmed every other enemy opponent inside. We'll see if the members of Lights Out can do the same, but SSG continues to frag out. They're dealing with the threats on their east, on their west, and Sixless continues to pick up kill after kill after kill, the 5th for Spacestation Gaming.
That's 4th place finish for Silent Killers as Juicy gets knocked. Monarch and Jagger doing work on the Space Station Gaming. Sixless still up, so is Angry, but there's going to be 2 flushes coming in. A 2v2 has been created. They just need to be worrying about where Lights Out are as the grenade's being primed. Onto Angry, who's taking a little bit of fire. Jagger with the Arm of God, looking to find something, but here's outside of 9k onto the back of Monarch. Angry will go down to that grenade, so it was well placed as Jagger gets that one down. Sixless, the last standing member for Space Station Gaming, but there's not much that Lights Out can do about it because they got Pittsburgh Knight also in the area as well.
Slow and tactical is how Lights Out have to play this. They can't become over-aggressive when they see the kill feed lighting up. They've almost got to let these teams whittle each other down because they are down memo, but they spot out Pittsburgh Knights. Jagger going to be dropped down, and that is going to be very crucial for Lights Out as they continue to try to claim this chicken dinner. Going for the flush right now, and that's going to be a pop-up. He's going to be going down, and 1 member remains trying to stick the res onto his fallen comrade. Well, Monarch, he's going to be res. He's going to be trying to get that first aid off, but player 7 and Monarch have a hell of an obstacle to get through, especially with Space Station Gaming still alive. Huge nade coming in. Lucifer, though, able to find
and again, he
members.
got Sixless as well. It just confirms the kill. They instantly remove him. Look at the nades coming in from Lights Out. They're taking control of this when Asiga finds Monarch, and the spray down onto 7 ends it all. Fantastic play there by Lights Out, securing themselves a 1st place finish with a total of 12 kills to their name.
Yeah, crazy to see that play out. 1 nade was the nail in the coffin for Space Station Gaming on a pretty dominant run there from the southern side of the circle, but it's all Lights Out. That's what they're saying to the rest of the lobby. Lights out for you guys, chicken dinners for us.
Pittsburgh Knights were also in a shaky position. They weren't completely safe on the leaderboard, so getting a 2nd place finish on this map, very important for them for the health of their campaign through the club open. So I'll be interested to see how that's shaken up the standings in relation to them when we can get that information to you. But Lights Out, Hands of God's coming in. They're yeeting those grenades across the fields, getting those kills, and then finishing it off nicely. Before they threw that first grenade, the one comment I wanted to get in there was that they took control. They spread their members out.
That was only 1 grenade, Trid. It was a little bit delayed on the Spectator, but that was one nade that
one
took
nade
them
to
all
find
out.
2, but they were throwing many others at the same time to apply pressure. What I was going to say was they were spreading out as far as they can. In that area they controlled, they had 3 members to use, and they used them perfectly. They kept down all the information, it's just flowing through them. They had a read on exactly where Pittsburgh Knights were, and also where Space Station's remaining members were, and they were able to deal with the situation perfectly. Near flawless play in that final circle there.
Yep, big shout out though as well to BlindedByWin, 8th place finish for them. That's good, right? It's exactly what they need, points on points on points, as well as Silent Killers. They were able to breach into that top 8 position, and that's exactly where they need to be as well. But guys, that's game number 3 in the book. We've got 1 more game to decide what teams will be dropping out, 8 to be exact. Tune in, we're gonna be back with game number 4 in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the PUBG Mobile Club Open. The ultimate game to decide the group stages is upon us. And what an exciting set of 2 weeks it has been. Trid, what do you have for these guys going into it?
Last chance saloon for a lot of our teams. While this has been going on, teams in groups A and C have been finding some difficulty, and they will be eliminated through no fault of their own, specifically in today's gameplay. We're just going to have a quick look at some highlights from the previous matchup, just to refresh you where the state of the game is. BlindedByWin have had an absolutely mammoth day today, Esquire, and they've got themselves into safety. They're no longer at risk of being taken out of this competition. And
saw the highlight just
even
now.
When
this is the low light.
Do plays like this, they've still found a way based off of their victory on Vikendi and able to get themselves into the safety. And Esports, they're able to get some free kills off them and bump themselves on the leaderboard, but they're out of the danger zone as well. In fact, a lot of teams are safe now. There's only a couple that are still in that race and in contention.
And that's one of the things that has made today so exciting, is how much movement we have actually seen on those leaderboards. And, well, it just doesn't stop. One more game for these teams to try to claw their way out of those bottom 8 positions, or maybe even try to even further solidify those positions inside of the top 24. But certainly all is on the line. And we had some epic plays in this game, Trid. Some epic plays. And you're going to see those played out right here.
Lots of nades, basically. The hands of gods coming in. Lights Out being the ones to claim victory on this map. They picked up a tasty double nade onto Jagger and Monarch, I believe. The Spacestation Gaming, they're also feeling the burn from this one as well. A Lights Out playing heads up PUBG Mobile, just spreading out across this final circle and just raining down pressure onto both of the remaining squads.
It was such a bloody endgame, and it was really all dictated by the members of Lights Out. Looking from that northern position, Pittsburgh Knights couldn't do anything, neither could Spacestation Gaming. And here it comes, the God moment. You're about to see it right here. Lucifer at the southern part of your screen. Well, he knows that Spacestation Gaming is lying in wait. You're about to see that grenade tracer go out as well. And boy, is it beautiful. There it is, lands right up on top of them and takes Spacestation Gaming out of the game.
Pow! Just completely moves them. And you can see Sega applying the pressure there with the nades, and they just go for one last rush, knowing there's only 2 members remaining. They have the angles, easy cleanup for Lights Out. But now on to the important part. We need to have a look at our standings and show you who is safe and who is not. So anyone with an 11 here, anyone with a 12 here, sorry, they're out. There's nothing they can do about that now. It's on the teams like for HOKAGE, NVUS, version 2 Black to climb up there. We go up one more floor, we'll go ahead and see who's playing Gatekeeper. NorthAmerica F6, squeaky bum time for them. They can't do anything. They're in 24th place. If any of those bottom 3 teams get any more points in this game, then they're going to overtake him and knock him into the danger zone, so they're going to be watching this match very attentively. Yeah,
with essentially only a hope and a prayer to their names to try to survive and not be booted out. I mean, 24th place is not where you wanted to be going into the final match, especially when you have no say whatsoever in the outcome of that game. But we continue to go on, though. The leaderboards, the top half, these are teams that have had pretty successful days throughout the group stages, and, well, it shows. Those point totals are absolutely racking up, and as you cross over into the top 8, it increases even more so. As you see Misfits continuing to hold on to that spot, but boy, is that gap closing. 29 points is all that Nova has to pull out here in this game to be able to surpass Misfits in number 1.
First place finish will give them that finish that they want in first place overall based off of the top of that. We already highlighted 4 teams. Let's go into a little bit more depth with these ones. So 2 teams that are definitely not safe, for HOKAGE and NVUS. Now, the cutoff point that NorthAmerica F6 has is 115 points. So it is possible for these 2 teams to go ahead and earn the amount of points to get above them. The problem is that they need to also get above a couple more spaces as well. 115 shouldn't be what you're aiming for. You should be aiming beyond that. But of course, these teams have the last chance in this final map to get some more points to push them into safety and keep them in the club open. So pay attention to where these 2 teams are.
Well, these 2 teams, absolutely, but we also have a few other teams that we have to keep our eyes on, specifically version 2 Black as well as the Silent Killers, 2 other teams that are sort of on the cusp here. They've got to do something to feel safe going into this, because right now, I can tell you, they are feeling the burn, they are feeling the pressure from the rest of the lobby.
Silent Killers are safe right now above NorthAmerica V6, I believe. NorthAmerica F6, I believe they are currently sat in 23rd place. Version 2 Black, they are outside of that area. So you can see there's only 8 points that separates safety and absolute disaster for a campaign. And these bottom teams are the ones you really need to keep an eye on, and we will try and highlight them where we can when this is coming in to tell you what their placement actually means in the context of these standings. That's what's going to be so crucial about this fourth and final map of the group stage.
Yeah, so crucial but also exciting, because when one team gets knocked out, well, it might not just mean them getting knocked out of the game, but also out of the tournament entirely. So definitely a huge game all around. Will Nova be able to put up a stellar performance? That's one of the scary things actually about this lobby, Trid, is the fact that Nova has a lot to gain in terms of pride, and well, they can put it all on the line. They can play risky if they need to, but let's pop it into game. Our players are loaded into the plane and will be soaring across Erangel, way favored down towards the south.
Not a lot of territory going to be utilized to begin with. Vehicles are going to be key here to getting mobility, some safety, and some good loot to boot. What I'd love to see here is a Northern Circle come off the back end of this and force everyone up into the top of the map and have everyone on the move. But I don't know. I don't always get what I want, Esquire, so I might
You
not
did
end
on
up having
Vikendi.
that. Yeah, I did have that. I was calling for hard shifts to the right, to the east, and that came through just in time. Maybe a bit of a circle whisperer today, but we'll find out on Erangel.
A fan of the viewers and hated by the players when you call those circles, but certainly it is going to be a difficult game, even if the circle of phase 1 ends up going smack dab in the middle. But already seeing some familiar drops. Tempo dropping out over just the top of Milta. Nova going to be popping out, heading down towards the south. No really surprises here, but it's really going to be interesting to see what teams actually make the shift. Spacestation Gaming already going to be heading down towards the eastern coast, favoring the northern side of things, but Revenants also doing the same.
It's only going to be Revenants going up there, like you said. Nova going to Novo, as always. They're one of their favorite spots. Cream going to settle down by Milta and Milta Power. Tempo sharing that territory with them, as they usually do. You can see HQA going down into the southwest corner of the map. Now, that's a northwestern circle, so Military Island not being implicated at all based off of phase 1. A lot of territory to play with, though.
Yeah, certainly a lot of open space for teams to rapidly send their vehicles into and hopefully claim a dominant position inside of this circle. Again, very impactful game. All eyes are on every team because every team's performance has an impact on this game. Kato, the rest of Nova, going to be looting up to their heart's content here in Novo. They've not seen anyone contest this drop since week number 1. It's been free reign for one of your top contenders here in this lobby as far as the spot.
Nova's going to have that one. There's a few shots being fired here. Revenants implicated in that firefight. You can just see in the background, going across the horizon, Space Station Gaming, Juicy and Angry in a vehicle, sharing that one together, right in shotgun. As they go across, BlindedByWin goes straight into version 2 black. They crash into a compound. Oh no, they have to turn around. Sprat's actually behind Arcs right now. He can get a pincer here, but I don't think he has a weapon. He's running, but not firing. This is the same thing with BlindedByWin. They have no guns to hand, and they're just going to be lambs to the slaughter to version 2 black. A fantastic start for a team that sorely needs those points.
That they did late to the party, but that didn't stop them from landing on the compound and securing the weapons before BlindedByWin was able to do so. So now, BlindedByWin is on their back foot. They have already lost a lot in considering what they have to work with in this game to feel comfortable, to feel safe. And well, version 2 black, like you said, Trid, a great start for them. Picking up 1 kill, certainly it's only 1 point, but it seems like they've got a little bit of confidence now rolling on through this game, as well as a nice position inside of phase number 1 as they continue on to the north, spreading out completely safe in that decision that there are no other teams nearby.
Team Anarchy have apartments next to school on lockdown for themselves. Spacestation Gaming gone up to Yasnaya with Revenants. Nicole Tile, Nicoletta, actually jumping in for the first time for Revenants 1. Been a substitute on this roster for the entire time. Now actually will get some game time now that Revenants are safe. Fair enough, get your substitute players in the game, get them used to playing, because you may have to utilize them later down the line.
And identical drops for those two teams. Revenants and Space Station Gaming were the two teams that found themselves within Yasnaya in game number 3, or game number 23 in total for the group stages. So, not a lot of shifts. I think these teams can expect this going forward whenever they play Erangel. But Nicoletta and Espinoza will be riding along that hillside. They're not going to be stopping in Yasnaya, maybe favoring, at least based off of where the circle is showing us, to go towards Severity or shooting range.
Lights Out are currently split in the area, and there's a couple of them going over to where 4 HOKAGE are in South Georgia, Paul. But you've also got HQA heading up to that area as well. Lucifer's trying to catch up Is BlindedByWin stuck in another engagement potentially with Silent Killers. Now this is so important for Phoenix to get these kills here because they are one of the teams that needs to maintain their position of safety right now. If Woods to take out a member and put them down to 3 off the bat, it's going to be a terrible start for them.
Pre-fire on the corner with the M416, but it's going to be his teammate Arcs with the SKS that finds the down onto Felix, and then Manny comes in with the DP28. It ends his life entirely. Now BlindedByWin. Well, they've got 3 players alive. They've got to do something here. Woods, Manny, and Arcs are certainly going to have a tough time continuing on here through this game.
They should be able to recover, getting a couple of points, or to recover from their loss. A kill for a kill, a life for a life, a soul for a soul. BlindedByWin, keeping themselves in it. South George going to be a hotbed of contention very quickly with HQA, Lights Out, and 4 HOKAGE all occupying that area. As you can see, Memo in that house by himself, and on the horizon, Michael, Zephan, and Yife all looking to get in on there. Cream is spread out all the way across that southeast coast over on Milta Power as well. And Nova are just doing their own thing in Nobo. Shoot to win. They got Pachinki all to themselves, and Tempo are actually making some rotations into that phase 1 circle now, leaving Milta, their territory, and heading in just to the southeast of the circle, passing by Farm on their way in.
Blue zone starting to encroach now on the edges of phase number 1. So our teams that are finding themselves outside of the circle, specifically our teams on the far eastern coast of Erangel, are going to have to start making that rotation. And down here, well, it's in the crates area, just east of South Georgia Pole. It's none other than 4 HOKAGE. One of the 3 teams that has already secured a dominant position inside of phase number 1. Not many can say that they have done this, but they have also positioned themselves very closely to the team that we were just looking at, the 2 teams rather, HQA as well as the members of Lights Out and South George, but they are separated enough to have at least a bit of a safe time looting up. No real engagement's going to pop off here just yet. That can quickly change, though, as the game progresses.
And Silent Killers, they're leaving away Primorsk in the Ferry Pier area to try and get a more central location, heading up north towards Ruins. Might pass by Shoot to Win on this instance. BlindedByWin also off to that southwest. They've already kind of faced off each other. Version 2 Black heading further north into that South George area. They might want to avoid it if they're playing for placement this game and trying to get as many points as possible. You got Chris in the buggy. I think he's ahead of the pack. Now he's chasing after Mitz, who's leading the convoy to greener pastures over the gap. Nice and easy. He had the requisite amount of speed to make that work.
A tactical play, showing off his driving skills in the buggy as Chris and the rest of his team continue on that path. But other teams are making rotations as well. There's one thing that we know about PUBG mobile rotations. They are deadly. It's the most vulnerable state that your squad can be in, trapped inside of a car, only be able to shoot out of the windows if you have passengers. But Shoot to Win, Pachinki, this is new. Trid, we did not see a lot of contention for this part of the zone. Certainly Tempo Storm sprinkled around the outskirts of Pachinki, but they did not opt to contest Shoot to Win's position inside of the central area.
Shoot to Win are going to share some loot, jump in the vehicle, and opt to leave. You can see Nico speeding along the horizon with Tempo as well, going around Pachinki to get into a more central position. They want a path right now to collide with Pittsburgh Knights, so they're not too careful. Spot Monarch there, just south of Ruins. Shoot to Win, going to just move around and keep the vehicle in hand. More members of HQA starting to line up against Lights Out, your map-free winners of the day. And this South Georgia Pool standoff could get a little bit lethal should anyone step out of line.
Memo able to secure a nice elevated position on the roofs of the front 6 buildings. This is a spot that gives you a great elevated spot in terms of what these teams will be expecting, and specifically HQA, who is moving in to the area that has been dominantly held by Lights Out so far in this game. The front 6 is certainly not an area that you want to push up on if you don't know where your enemy threats lie, and HQA may soon find that out, but they're already going to be pulling some vehicles from this area. Yafei going to be popping into this building, instantly realizes, yes, it is looted. Need to get out of there, Yafei. Spending too much time here, you're not going to be picking up anything useful, and certainly might be catching some bullets in the process.
Nova have got onto the mainland right now. They wrapped all the way around Military Island, go on the western bridge to get onto the mainland. Creamer making the same rotation from Milta Power right now. Every team in that first phase 1 circle. And we'll see where phase 2 pops and forces them to traverse next.
Pirate, very low on HP, safe for the time being, though he's likely going to stop here to get one of those first aids rolling. Needs to do so, but Cream might face off against some resistance as they make their way into phase number 2, which has just popped. It's going to be a pretty centralized circle based off of what we were looking at in phase number 1, so if you found yourself as a team centering up early on, well, you don't have to move too far. But any team that has to move, you're already starting to see the convoys make their way up to the north or over to the west for some of these teams.
There's going to be a four-way clash just south of Ruins. You can already see Shoot to Win being implicated. Nova about to pass through in between Pittsburgh Knights and Tempo as well. That could just be a firing line and they're not too careful, and it could cause a lot of casualties early for teams that really don't want to be doing that. Same thing for 4 HOKAGE as they head in as well, but Nova's going to crash into this compound, just staring down Pittsburgh Knights. If Beowulf continues, he's going to be implicated in this one. Wi-Fi may open up on him, he's going to get the spray on, and immediately makes that diversion and gets out of there, leading Nova away from it altogether.
And Nova loses out on a pretty good position.
Prime real estate, Esquire. Prime real estate.
Exactly right, but a good counter position being held by the Pittsburgh Knights send Nova on their way packing. Well, at least they're able to find this hillside, which still presents some angles that they could fire back down onto the Knights with. But other teams are starting to posture near the ruins. Shoot to Win continued on there for HOKAGE, as well as Nova just tries to get a grasp on their surroundings. They're hearing rotations over to the north, trying to spray down, just trying to apply pressure to keep that buffer zone strong, but it's actually going to be Beowulf once again, a dominant player here for this squad, going to be spraying out one of the members of Cream, Karma, going down early on.
Version 2 Black getting a member knocked, Slav going down, and now he's been flushed as well. Version 2 Black, they got that early kill nice and early into the stage, but now they're down to 3 members. This is one of our teams to watch and keep in the game as Nova continues the assault against Cream.
And Silent Killers, they were the aggressors in that engagement. Another one of our teams to watch. It's exciting when we see these teams at the bottom of the leaderboards really putting it all on the line to try to compete here. Tempo, though, on the move. The other members of Cream on the move as well. Shots being fired out of the vehicle windows, trying to find their connections, but also Nova. They're not in vehicles. They have free reign to spray down on top of Pirate. 30% HP.
Oh.
One more shot will do it. Will knock him out of the vehicle. Long range, going to be hard to hit it, but certainly putting the fear of God into one of the remaining members of Cream as he continues northward.
Version 2 Black are now out of the competition altogether. They were the first squad to go down. They have not got enough points. They will not be joining us in our semifinals.
So, I believe, Trid, at this stage in the game, we have 6 teams secured in the bottom 8 positions, but 2 more have to be decided. This game has a lot of implications in terms of whether you stay in the top 24, continue on your PUBG mobile path to hopefully $2.5 million representing North America, or going back to the drawing board and having to wait for that fall season. Spacestation Gaming, though, out in the open, a little bit of definitely to hide behind, but a lot of guns trained in their direction.
One team's loss is another team gain. Without version 2 Black having to climb it, the benchmark is still 115 points by NorthAmerica F6. NVUS and 4 HOKAGE, they're still in position to be able to meet that and exceed those points and still sneak their way into the semifinals. So 2 teams still in that race. And Silent Killers, they've only gained 1 extra point so far and they're down to 3 members. They do not want to be challenging this any further because they're on the cusp of missing out on semifinals as well.
Blue zone about 80% of the way done with that push towards circle number 2. Another shrink will be incoming in just a few seconds. And Will the River leading out of Yasnaya as of right now is currently implicated, and Will it still will be on the northern side of the 3rd shift of game number 4. Down to God Mountain, Everest, whatever you want to call it. Certainly everyone knows the tallest mountain on the map with no occupants as of yet. A lot of teams surrounding the base on the southern side, getting into those compounds. But will we see lights out? Maybe go up on top, get that information. We know they've got the skill, the gun mechanics to hit those shots, but will they utilize it?
Only the tallest mountain can be occupied by the Pantheons of PUBG Mobile. Revenants looking to come in. Lights Out are currently in between them and what could be a potential objective for them, as they're just making their own rotations closer to the center as well. Spacestation Gaming getting awfully close to Nova as they're driving in these vehicles, being lightened up onto Juicy, who hasn't taken enough damage yet. Sam looking to throw a grenade off of a dismounted Spacestation Gaming player over the top as Juicy takes some fire. Sixless is moving in to provide some assistance, and the rest of Spacestation Gaming are crashing in on this. Another grenade thrown out by Sam, a little bit more on target, but still won't find the mark, and Nova retreat back into the cover of these buildings.
Nova continues to hold on to very powerful compounds. These guys have a strategy, and they play it out, and they execute it every time that they're given a slight window of opportunity to do so. Kato continuing to look, though, down to the south, up the hill, trying to spot out any enemy threats, rather, that could be coming through the area. But Revenants taking a lot of fire. Space Station Gaming spraying down. Shoot to Win, rather, spraying down as well. But it's going to be the lights out here. Spotting out Shoot to Win. Martin going to be dropped down immediately. Siga taking a lot of damage. Has to get a recovery going before they continue to aggress upon him.
He can hold on this position. Martin's just the sacrificial lamb at this point. Shoots to win have left him all out in the wind there for outside of 9K to pick up. So lights out, gaining some more points. They are at 3 members or a 3-man squad right now, I believe, unless they've gone for some kind of split. But here's Revenants crashing into these buildings, occupying them for themselves. And they are just south of ruins. Oh no, they're going to change their mind, move the vehicles into another position. Maybe they don't like the looks of this compound. 2 of them are in, but they're going to block out window access with those vehicles, which could prove to be so important to them should a team try to raid this location later.
Yeah, protect the vehicles, block the windows, whatever you can do to try to send off anyone that tries to crash that compound. Cheto, just a sliver of HP to his name, trying to stay alive whatever way he can as the Pittsburgh Knights spray down upon him. One shot will do it. Hell, if he crashes into a tree, he's going to be going down, but he maneuvers it very well, losing a back tire, spinning out entirely, and now feeling the hurt that buggy can literally put down upon you. He's in the field, he's got the buggy as cover now, but how does he disengage off of this? How does he get down to the southeast where the only other member for this squad, Kira, is standing?
He's in a trench right now in Gatka in the sewage lane, so he's also healing up because Wi-Fi's got eyes on him and applying some pressure. So both crew members feeling the hurt and then unable to help each other. Now for HOKAGE, a team that's still in contention to get into safety, trading shots with Spacestation Gaming. That's not the play, Chief, if you want to get some points. Spacestation Gaming have been known to be quite good fraggers in this game. Helmet, particularly with his headshot accuracy. He's not in the roster for this time around, but the other players are very confident when it comes to getting the kills. I
mean, listen, it's just the way you got to play it. Some of these teams need to hard camp. They need to chase placement points. Kills are not going to get you there. Next phase has popped over to the east. We go. The play area continues to shrink and get ever so crowded as a great lot of transitions will have to happen from the western side of things. We have silent killers that have to make that rotation through thick obstacles to really get to safety, and they're going to have a tough time doing so. But Unnamed for HOKAGE, they're spotting out enemies that they have to go through to get into this northeastern side of the circle. Able to get a knockhead, going to be going down. Reckless, feeling the hurt, dropped down to about 80% HP. And Creature holding on to the chapel, just trying to send back any of the members of for HOKAGE that are pushing out of ruins.
There's NVUS as well, another team to watch is Knockhead. Has been knocked himself. Reckless going in for the resurrection, throws the smoke out to get some recovery and alleviate some pressure. Carnage is on the hunt for him though. As is the rest of Spacestation Gaming, who want to hold on to this position for HOKAGE in the vehicles driving past the horizon. Just going to get on the escape here. Shots will be fired as Shoot to Win looking to take out Tempo. Lost has been knocked. They turn back around looking for the flank from Chica and Nico, coming for a pincer maneuver on Shoot to Win. Pressure being applied. Chica gets the knock onto Rafa. Here's Nico from the side, trying to find Psycho. Has to take cover behind the vehicle. Chica will get Rafa and confirm that kill. Mint being knocked down. There's another spray down for Lopez. Tempo Storm storming these buildings, getting away with it as well. As Psycho has recovered, looking to find Nico. Gonna press up. He's looking in the wrong direction. The spray down comes down and Shoot to Win. Gonna be taken out by Tempo Storm.
Nice swarm coming in from the members of the Tempo Store, picking up 3 kills. Lost was not flushed. They are likely going to be able to recover off of this and continue on as a 4-stack. But other teams around the map are not so lucky. Pittsburgh Knights going to be engaged with version 2 White right now, losing casualty after casualty as 7 of Monarch go down. But BlindedByWin is also taking casualties to the members of HQA. The battlefield is lighting up here in the final game of the group stages as Wi-Fi is going to be pushing up, throwing pressure over the direction of version 2 White. He knows he's got 2 down. Can he find Bad Player, the solo player of this squad left? No, he backs up. He's going to be trying to get up one of his teammates, and I'm sure Bad Player has exactly the same thing as mine as his fallen comrades are trying to crawl over the hill without giving too much away and feeding the information back to Bad Player.
Definitely don't want to implicate that final member as Wi-Fi goes for the spray down. He knows exactly where that's going to be. Just getting the flush onto Waz, moves up, Mega's over the mound, priming up a grenade, wants to throw that out, and then he go for the kill confirmed. Bad Player going for the res onto Maluma. Wi-Fi is still on the hunt. He's not going to be able to get away with it though, as Pittsburgh Knights are being res themselves. Mega's still in the game. Maluma will be successfully brought back into it. And now Bad Player may want to try and protect these teammates while they get back into it.
I'm curious if the Pittsburgh Knights know that Bad Player had shifted around to that far southern region of this compound. Well, the blue zone is certainly going to be taken away at them, and Wi-Fi has spotted out these 2 members of version 2 White, trying to spray him down. Blue zone damage as well as bullets, taking away the HP of Bad Player and his fallen comrade. Now Wi-Fi, though, going to be returned on. He's almost knocked. One more shot will do it, but no, his teammates come in. Bad Player going down, and that is going to be the entirety of version 2 White eliminated in 14th position.
Version 2 White were relatively safe on the standings, so that shouldn't be too much of a knock for their semi-final hopes. But it is a bit of a knock to the ego to go down so early into the matchup with 40 players still alive, 13 teams still in it. Team Anarchy treating themselves to a tasty little loot drop right now, and hopefully there's something good inside for them to share.
Well, if you don't get the gun that you're looking for, at least you have that level 3 armor infusion that is so necessary at this stage in the game where teams have been whittled down. Sometimes you got a broken vest, sometimes you got a broken helmet, but the next phase has popped. We're going over towards the east. A lot of teams riding the eastern edge of this new circle, and a lot of teams with a lot of open area to traverse to get inside of safety. But Revenants, look at them. They're holding strong in this compound just south of Ruins that they were able to secure early on, and will other teams have to push towards them?
For HOKAGE in that chaos, pincer between Nova and Space Station right now. Outsider getting the knock. There's Sixless getting a confirmed kill onto Knockhead, dropping down NVUS to 2 members now. Maybe even 1 here as it's just Rush on the screen, going to get sprayed down, and that's Rush. And the rest of NVUS going out in 11th place. They haven't done enough there. That's NVUS going out of the semi-finals. Only an extra 5 points to them. 108 was not the scoreline, Chief. NVUS will not be joining us in the semi-finals next week.
Sixless of Space Station having a great game so far, picking up 3 out of the 4 kills for their team up until this point. But now Revenants inside of this compound, like I mentioned, they've been holding on to it for the better part of 10 minutes. Well, they've got Espinoza. He's also going to be almost an insurance policy, a flank play, an unknown outside of the building should anyone push up. And here comes Lights Out off of the western flank. They're just north of one other team, and they need to be careful. They're under fire. Peralta going to be slinging lead in their direction for the M416.
He's spraying it down for now. Revenants looking over towards Tempo. They've got a nice spread here. 2 in one building, 1 in another, and you've got Espinoza on the outside. Tsukasa and Tsunade getting some kills on the board. Nova actually being knocked in that one, so they've decided to pick an angle to fight from. They just need to start confirming those kills, otherwise it could be turned around to them very quickly. Spec taking some shots at Wi-Fi, won't find any connections. You can see Beowulf is retreating around. Edwin's holding the angle to stop the aggression coming out from 4 HOKAGE, while Beowulf goes for the reses and brings both his teammates back in there. And also lets them get meted up as well, as there's going to be some smoke grenades thrown out by Team Anarchy to obscure some of the sight lines currently presented to them.
Lights Out still holding on to this position, but Lost knows exactly where they are. Going to be lobbing nades in that direction, hopefully to find a connection on one of the members of this 4 squad. But it's going to be Chica that finds Outsider 9K. Down they go, but Lights Out is engaged onto BlindedByWin. Ark's going to be going down for that squad, and now turning it right back on to Tempo Storm's lost as he gets dropped, and Lights Out goes for the reses. Memo on to Outsider 9K is so crucial that they pick him back up and continue on here because they just got shifted upon. They've got to continue on to the east.
And Lost, going to be dropped by 7. That's going to be a kill confirmed, but Chica turns it back around with a headshot. Will knock him back down to his knees. Remember, keeping an eye on the sight line. Jagger knocks Spec. Killer getting knocked down by Cotto as well. This engagement is heating up. So many teams staring each other down. As Space Station Gaming moving up closer to the circle, but they're opening themselves up to Tobarama on their left flank and James on the right. They need to be cautious of what they're looking to do here. He's going to get down in the ground and start snaking it into safety.
Throwing nades, trying to catch out anyone hiding behind a rock, and he might be finding James very shortly with a few of those frags that are going out in his direction. But a frag right on top of his face. It's going to be putting out damage, but not enough to get the fatal knock as Sixless rains down even more grenades and picks up another knock on the Team Anarchy. James has to worry about this now as his other teammates are so far separated, and it doesn't look like now with that push coming out from Space Station Gaming they're going to be able to do anything.
Into Revenants, into the center, Seagut and Lucifer. Lucifer's already gone down on this one, and Seagut's still up. It was a knock from Espinoza. As Juicy is going to be taking out James. Memo gets knocked down by Nico. Beowulf in safety here as outside 9K will go down to the play zone. His team's in no position to help, as that will confirm the kill on the flush. Nicoletta being dropped by Beowulf for the headshot. Wi-Fi finding Memo as Angry takes some fire, but he's back into safety now. Peralta getting flushed out by Edwin. Tankard the same by Beowulf. That's Nova wiping out Revenants and confirming all those kills with a headshot onto Espinoza from Beowulf's VSS.
All 7 of our teams, except for 1, have found themselves safe inside of phase number 6. The only team that still has to make that trek, well, it's Tempo Storm off to the west, and they have a lot of guns to get past to even get to safety if they are able to find cover inside of these open areas. Edwin continuing to frag out prone position, but has the angle outside of that window to try to hit on Tempo Storm. Sam trying to do the exact same thing through the door, but keeping aware that there are other teams and other threats still lying. It's essentially snakes really coming off of that far eastern position. 21 players alive, though we're at a 3-player per team average. Some teams certainly sitting a little more pretty than others as we continue on here into the final minutes of the final game of the group stages.
HOKAGE needed 23 points at the start of this match to be able to get to safety. It's doable. If they get third place with a couple of kills, they'll walk away with the requisite amount of points. Getting first place will guarantee it for them. They're on board with Spec right now, just trying to keep up with the blue that's moving in and find a safe way. Nico's just been ended by Lucifer. The flush comes in as well, and Spec going to get dropped by a headshot. Lucifer truly is the devil. And guess what? Tempo haven't dealt with him in time, and now he's going to claim their souls. Chica in the corner, just being sprayed down, but he's safe for now. Snaking it out, going for placement. Carnage rushing onto Lights Out. That's a terrible mistake, as Juicy's going to get dropped down by Sega, as well as Carnage. He's found 2 as they've rushed this position. Toto has ended Lucifer's streak. Juicy then getting flushed out by Sega. So is Carnage. So Spacestation Gaming down to 2. Angry and Sixless, the last 2 standing.
Next phase has popped. It's going to be favoring Nova over there in the yellows, and every other team essentially has to move down to them. Remember, Nova is currently sitting in second position. They needed about 27 points to bridge that gap between second and first. That's going to be a second place finish and a few kills, or even that chicken dinner will absolutely secure it. And they're setting up, looking pretty like they're going to be able to do this, but certainly 4 or 5 other teams stand in their way as Edwin continues to look out. Space Station, though, on to the members of Lights Out, and Pittsburgh Knights will be lending a hand as well. But it's going to be a turn. Seagut onto Angry, able to get the knock, and now Seagut gets traded out there after. It's a 4-way fight between everyone except for Nova.
More importantly, 1 kill going over the 4 HOKAGE, which is going to help them in the long run. Tsukasa got a nice position in the buildings. They are contending with Nova as Pittsburgh Knights are on the outside. Now, if they can survive Anarchy and Pittsburgh Knights, they get a second place finish. If they get a couple of those kills, 4 HOKAGE will make it into our semifinals.
But it's not over yet. 4 members of Nova going to be hiding out inside of these yellow buildings. Well, hiding isn't necessarily the right word because they have been fragging out of their minds this entire tournament and will continue to apply the pressure here as Edwin with the M416 finds a knock onto one of the members of 4 HOKAGE. 3 more left alive as Hashirama, Tsukasa, and Toby Rama are trying to do whatever they can to stay alive as Anarchy going to be taking casualties to this 4 HOKAGE squad. And now every member of 4 HOKAGE has made it inside of these yellow buildings. They don't have much further to rotate at all. Just have to worry about Nova and Pittsburgh Knights.
If 4 HOKAGE goes out right now, they'll have 21 points. They need 2 more kills or to get that next place finish in terms of second, and they will make the semifinals. Jagger being knocked down as the rest of 4 HOKAGE goes for the heals. They could be potentially staring down a 4v4 engagement with Nova, but if they make second place at this point, they will be in our semifinals. They just have to make sure Pittsburgh Knights dies before they do.
And they're in the position to do just that, lining up inside of this building. No one going to have angles on them. They're deploying smokes, getting concealment to work off of as well. Just trying to do whatever they can to secure those points that they so desperately need here as Jagger continues to bleed out. No one able to safely res him just yet. The final phase of the final game here. It's going to be collapsing in and on itself here in a matter of a few minutes, and teams have to posture themselves properly to be able to survive the longest, to be able to claim that chicken dinner. But no one is forced into battle just yet. Pittsburgh Knights have at least a few meters of room to work with before they get to the edge of that hillside, and they can look down onto this engagement that is starting to pop off between the members of Nova and 4 HOKAGE.
Nova is more attentive towards where 4 HOKAGE are because they are safer ultimately. Pittsburgh Knights are going to have to expose themselves to get into safety. Now the smoke line will cut off a lot of the sight from both Nova and 4 HOKAGE are keeping their eyes on it. Bullets being traded as Pittsburgh Knights hopefully looking to press forward. Very slowly though, they're going for the snake strategy. Wi-Fi going down low. Now he stands up, goes through the smoke. Nova are going to hear this and they're going to turn around to try and answer as they spray down. As Wi-Fi gets close to the building, takes an alternative angle, but he's not conscious of where everyone is. As 4 HOKAGE are trying to look for this one. Beowulf getting sprayed down. The rest of Pittsburgh Knights getting into the prone. And they're trying to find something here, hugging this wall as the circle moves in.
Both of these teams, both 4 HOKAGE as well as Nova, could not allow the Pittsburgh Knights to push up onto that building. Now this engagement gets even trickier for these teams to navigate around. Nade's going to be coming out inside of the building, applying pressure, but not the damage that was intended as Nova continues to try to survive. The smokes are covering all different lines of sight inside of the window, which means they can't shoot out, but other players can't see inside, and they're spraying through doors. They're trying to find the connections, but it's essentially a standstill at this stage in the game before the play zone ultimately collapses to the center, but Sam going to be taken down as Wi-Fi sprays with the AKM inside of the building. 3 more members of Nova to have to worry about, and they're going to have to push out of this building. Wi-Fi just essentially relying on luck to find that lucky headshot on one of the members of Nova.
For HOKAGE, got themselves back into this one. They had a member knocked. They're going to put him back in the game, spraying down, applying that pressure to Pittsburgh Knights. They've erupted out of the building. Hashirama, that's a terrible misplay, as Kodo will take him down, and Hashirama gets flushed out of the game. 3 members down. They just need to out-survive it, but Pittsburgh Knights 7, he's tanking the blue zone. So is Wi-Fi, they got down. This might be enough for HOKAGE to do it. They die to the blue here. Pittsburgh Knights still have Jagger in play. He's going to res Wi-Fi. Edwin has gone down to the blue zone, but he should be able to stay alive and get recovery from the rest of his team. But Tobin Rama wants to get the flush there. Remember, if they get 2 kills or out-survive Pittsburgh Knights, they will make it. There's a spray coming around. Kodo gets the pro onto Wi-Fi. The knock comes in for Kodo. Tobin Rama applying pressure. Jagger goes down for HOKAGE. They've done it. They will be joining us in the semi-finals, but can they go out with the bang and get the first place chicken dinner?
They've got to do it here. It's essentially pride on the line, and I don't even think that they know that they've secured it just yet.
Oh my god, they found 2. Looking for the 3rd one as well. Sam gonna go down for HOKAGE! Even if they didn't get those kills, they come in with the first place finish. If there was ever a time to come up with the chicken dinner, it was when you needed 23 points to get into the semi-finals. They walk away with that and then some.
Yep, great game being displayed here by all of our 32 teams that played out over the group stages. Congratulations to you all for just making it to this point. But only 24 can move on, and 8 go back to the drawing board. Our admins are hard at work getting those scores tallied so that we can display it to you and definitively say who will be moving on to the semifinals. Trid, it is exciting. Ooh, I can't wait to see.
And I know that we've usually been showing the standings from the bottom to the top, but I think in this instance, our producers should be showing us standings from top to bottom. Because if we get it that way around, then we save that final moment just to make sure it's the last thing you see is those who will not be joining us, and we can give them a proper send-off. But thoroughly impressed by HOKAGE there. They knew that was the last chance for them, and they pulled it off. It was just unfortunate they were the only team that could make the climb into that top 24.
Yeah, it was looking rough for HOKAGE. They weren't able to pick up any of those kills. You saw them applying the pressure to Pittsburgh Knights, but ultimately it just came down between them and Nova, and boy, did they swarm. They did exactly what they needed to, much like we saw a few teams do today, to claw themselves out of those bottom 8 positions. But nothing's set in stone just yet. Surely all of our estimations are just that, estimations. But we'll see what is ironed out here in a few more minutes. Trid, what do you have to say to these guys, though?
Oof. Who'd say to who?
Well, why say anything? Just oof.
No, but who am I speaking to? What am I talking about?
The 32 teams in North America that competed here over the group stage.
Commiserations to the 8 that won't be joining us. We'll find out who you are and give you a proper send-off in a minute. The top 24 who have made it. Some names over the course of the group stage have risen to the top of interest. Nova actually with that 2nd place. With enough kills, they may have actually done enough to dethrone Misfits as well, because they were guaranteed 22 points by getting 2nd. They needed a couple to be able to get it. Standings are ready. The producers have just told me, so we're going to have a look from top to bottom. Here's your top 8. Just missing out. Nova unable to dethrone Misfits Gaming with 12 games played, so I don't think they actually got away with that one. I'm actually going to call that into doubt. I don't think
that's
no,
proper.
The total points haven't actually been updated yet. The matches reflect 12, but Nova Esports were on 287 at the start of this series. So
Trid, I think they got enough points.
I think they did it. With enough kills, they would have been able to
Trid, they had 10 kills plus the 2nd place finish.
They did
it! Nova Esports, at least as far as the group stages go, will be walking away in 1st place position. Misfits, sure enough, had a great set of games over the course of 2 weeks, but they will be dropping down to 2nd. Let's continue on though in the leaderboards. Let's try to get down and see what other teams have been able to make it into those top 24 positions.
Okay, Tempo Storm, they climbed up 2 more spots, got themselves into 9th with 193 points. Not a bad showing. Pittsburgh Knights, who are our 3rd place team in that series, they're finishing out in 12th, so these teams are all relatively safe. Now, are you ready for a little bit of a drum roll? Let's get down into that 17 to 24 instance, see who has made it. If you're not on your list now, it's all over. For HOKAGE, they went from 29th, I believe, straight up to 19th. They jumped 10 places in that final match and guaranteed they'll be joining us next week. Ace Esports, HQA, Version 2 White, Silent Killers maintain their positions. Latinos Undios is there, but because For HOKAGE got into the top 24, NorthAmerica F6 lost their spot. Let's get the confirmation. Bottom 8 teams they will be saying goodbye to for next week.
And here they are, back to the drawing board, no longer going to be able to participate in the PUBG Mobile Club Open. North American F6, see you later, NVUS, version 2, Black Error, Shoguns, Team Totality, Home Alone, and Will, down there at the very bottom of your list, ImYourEnemy. Going home, but guys, congratulations again for making it into the top 32 teams in North America. It was no easy task, so you should all be happy with your performance up until this date, but an even bigger congratulations to the 24 teams Trid that were able to make it into the semifinals.
Those bottom 8 teams, yes, their season may be over for the spring, but of course there is the full season they can still qualify for and compete and come back stronger than ever. Take what they've learned during their time in our group stage and apply it onto greater things. And hopefully we'll see them in the full season to try again and see if they can get to the top of North America. Let's have a look at some highlights of that final map. So we talk a little bit more about map number 4, and we saw more of the same of Erangel. I believe this was the Nova crash. They changed their mind as they went in here. Beowulf draw the ire of Pittsburgh Knights and immediately came out of there. Now imagine if Pittsburgh Knights were able to get a couple of knots here onto Nova, how that could have fundamentally changed that final free showdown we saw at the end.
Yeah, who knows, HOKAGE might have even more dominantly ended that game right there. But this sort of sets the landscape. These overheads really show how congested this area was. It wasn't easy for any of these teams to make it into these final few moments, but then it all came down to HOKAGE able to just kind of control this final zone. Once Pittsburgh Knights were out, well, Nova was already taking casualties from the blue zone. It was pretty easy for the members of HOKAGE from that point onward, and then ultimately the game-winning moment. There it is. HOKAGE gets out of the bottom 8 into the top 24 and saves their position here in the PUBG Mobile Club Open.
And that is the conclusion of our group stage. So that's all from me and Esquire for today. Starting on Friday, we're going to be seeing our semi-finals. But before we do that, let's have a quick reminder of how today went by looking at our day schedule. So we're hopefully going to see, remember, Sanhok was our first map. We're hoping to be able to pull that up. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to pull that schedule up for you, but if we can remember correctly, we had Sanhok, Vikendi, and a double helping of Erangel. For myself and Esquire, thank you very much for tuning in. Come and tune in on Friday at 8 PM Pacific, where we're going to kick off our semi-finals.